to the ashes. The spirits light up the night.
Now, from the Untold Radio Network, it's Untold Radio AM with Doug and Alex Hajicek.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Alex.
Hello.
You're a little pink tonight.
Yeah,
We haven't overcome our technical difficulties. That looks good on you.
I spent too much time in a tanning bed.
No. Doesn't look like that. Looks like, what were those Porky the Pig cartoons? Kind of like that. It's pink. Pink. It's all right. It's all right. It's Halloween Eve, so it doesn't matter. It's your costume.
Yeah, it's Halloween. Everyone's giving me crap for being too white.
So yesterday, I had a crazy day yesterday. Every room I walked into, I was blowing fuses. It happened 5 times, including this room. And I didn't even think about it. I'm going to have to come in and reboot the whole studio, right? So tonight I come in, I'm like, dang it, I forgot to do that. So the circuit breaker just kept blowing. But only when I walked into a room. So what does that mean? Coincidence? Must be. It's got to be. I couldn't possibly be blowing fuses. But I always wonder, was it certain energy a person has, or is it just purely coincidental? There's a Connexus truck out there working, and they're spiking your home. But never once did all the house blow. The circuit breakers, it would blow room by room as I walked into them, throughout the day.
Right. Jeez.
Yeah, anyhow, so it's Halloween Eve. And you know what I do on Halloween Eve?
What?
I step up my moves to find the Halloween candy that's hidden from me. I mean, Yvette hides it.
Yeah.
Your Halloween candy too from you?
She keeps threatening to because it disappears.
Oh, she threatens to. Okay, well, eventually they do hide it. They just hide it, and it's gone. And God, where in the world is it?
You know her spots.
And then when you find it, what you do, I got it down to a science. You cut a little hole just big enough for the candy bars to slip through on the bottom, and you sneak them out that way. And you just get like 2 or 3 out of each bag.
Until they're gone.
I'm teaching you.
Wow. That's a good one.
These are the tricks you learn after being so old. All right, what else is going on? We have our guest tonight, Maryann Ziebell.
Yes.
Pronounced right?
Close enough.
Okay. Whatever that means. But she is an Ozarkian. You know what that is, right? An Ozarkian?
She lives in the Ozarks?
Yes. I made that word up, so it's not a real word. I don't think it is. Maybe it is a word. There's like an Iowan, right? A Minnesotan. Well, why can't she be an Ozarkian?
I love it.
I think so. Anyhow, she is a Bigfoot researcher. I haven't met her. I'm going off what Alex said that you will love. Okay? That's all I know. It'll be fun. She's a current member of the BFRO, right? You don't nod in radio. Nodding does not work.
Plausible deniability.
That's funny. Oh my God. Okay. Anyhow, what do we got here? So tonight we're gonna have her on. We've got you be the judge. We're gonna do a little trivia, clip picks. I couldn't find one Halloween costume. I looked really hard, couldn't find any really original. Nothing good. A lot of people are using that, the bot crap.
Yeah.
The aliens got me on my back.
That one never gets old.
It never gets old, but I'm not gonna. I was looking for something original. Nothing. Oh, by the way, if you do want to ever have fun on Halloween, like I've done many, many years, I go to fly to Vegas for Halloween. It's hilarious. It's fun.
Really, it's fun.
Oh my God, the costumes there are never end, and they're amazing. Just seeing all the hotels. Yeah, it's fun. So someday you got to do that.
Try that.
Vegas for Halloween. Okay. So what else? Oh, we got a really cool tech breakdown. I want to mention that. Stay tuned for that. It's going to bring your research up to a new level for sure, or could. So, I'm coming down with the grunge. That's new. And then yesterday I had a kind of an interesting day, and I don't do this. This is not. So I haven't done this since I was a little kid, where you stumble over your own 2 feet. And then you do the abba-dabba-doo Flintstone thing. And then you kind of fly really far as you're kind of running, trying to get your balance again. And then it doesn't end well. So yesterday I needed to plug in the e-bikes, right?
Plug them in, yeah.
Plug them in. So I grabbed one of those floor outlets, those round floorplex floor outlets. Grab that, plugged in the 2 chargers. But I forgot to plug them into the e-bikes. All of a sudden I'm thinking, oh crap, Yvette's going to be home. I was supposed to plug in the e-bikes. So I kind of race over there. Well, as I'm racing over there, I stepped on the outlet and those cords sticking up because they're plugged in. So now I try to catch myself and I step on my left foot with my right foot. So now I'm doing the curly shuffle. And I'm trying to catch my balance. So one way to catch your balance is to run forward. If you're falling, you try to run into the fall. So I did that.
Oh.
So now I tripped again on a kickstand or something. Now I'm airborne. So I'm totally Supermaning it. And I'm like, oh crap, I got to break my fall somehow because I'm an old dude. And so I grabbed I'm flying in between an e-bike, a big fat tire e-bike, and a motorcycle that I just recently restored, but it's got a lot of sharp edges on it, like razor sharp on the muffler.
Razor sharp.
So of course I'm thinking that's a good thing to grab, right? To break my fall. So I grab it, and my thumb, not only I can feel it cutting into my skin. But it wedges underneath. And so now I'm flying through the air and my thumb is caught in this razor sharp sheet metal underneath. And I'm flying in the air. And then I'm like, God, this ain't working out. And I don't want to wreck my newly restored bike. So I kind of veer left and I land on the seat of my e-bike, Superman style, like this, totally horizontal. But instead of that seat stopping me, it doesn't even slow me down. The thumb has slowed me down maybe 2 miles an hour. So I kind of ricocheted off the seat, smacked my head my feet into the handlebar, deflects me off. And now I'm doing a 180 flip. My whole body is flipping 180, right? My thumb is now yanked loose from the shrapnel. And I'm now upside down, still flying through the air. But now I'm facing the ceiling. Serious, this is true. And this is all happening, in milliseconds, 3 seconds. But it's like time has slowed down. So I'm completely upside down. And as I start doing the vertical drop, my leg and butt now are scraping against a razor sharp bunch of pegs on my pedal. CNC cut, and the pegs are steel and they're razor sharp to grip into your shoes. So I'm now dragging across it with my butt, tearing through my pants and my leg, right? And so it's slicing through my butt cheek and then my leg. And then I'm thinking, oh crap, I'm going to hit that garage door at a pretty good clip because my head's now aimed for the garage door. So I hit the garage door, that metal bar that comes across, smack into that upside down. And I mean, I had a hat on, thank God. Hit that, dropped the rest of the about 1.5 feet on my shoulder. I hear my shoulder crunch. And then I look up and here comes my e-bike ready to tip over on me, which is about getting close to 100 pounds because I have it loaded with a lot of side bags and gear and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's coming at me and I don't even fight it. It just drops on me. So then do you remember the razor pedal I just mentioned with the CNC spikes?
Yeah.
Now they cut into my knee.
Oh, no.
The handlebar falls on my chest. Part of it falls on my face. And I'm laying there and I'm bleeding everywhere. And I'm thinking, oh, gee, this is going to be an embarrassing ER trip up to the ER because my butt cheek, I can tell it's sliced. But those pegs are only like 1/4 inch. So I figured, well, it can't be too bad, right? It's not life-threatening. So I lay there for 45 minutes. And, of course, my cell phone's on my desk. And there's no way I can get up. I'm wedged in the fetal position between a motorcycle that weighs like 500 pounds, which if it fell on me, it'd kill me, and an e-bike that the kickstand is broken and is tipped over on me. And it's a center stand. It just broke, turned into a pretzel. So I waited, and finally I figured out, I can just sit up, like doing a sit-up with my head. I kind of pushed the bike away. And then I'm like, well, now what do I do? Because I can't get the bike off me and it won't stand up. And it's still cutting everything I do, and it's cutting into my leg. I mean, these are razor sharp, and I'm not joking. They're razor sharp. And so I finally get all my strength on my right arm, which has been, mangled. My shoulder is all messed up in my back. And so I finally push it away and I sit up, and then I kind of brace myself without, a little groaning. And then I get in and I grab the alcohol bottle. I strip my pants off to see, what kind of damage. My pants are soaked with blood. And I use the alcohol. You ever taken alcohol and put it on a bunch of wounds?
Oh, yeah.
Fun. Yeah, it's fun. So anyhow, I'm manning up, doing that, I had to clean my thumb, because there was a big flap, it's flapped out with a big, thick flap of skin. So I don't want to get an infection. So anyhow, I cleaned everything up, all the wounds, the best I could, limped upstairs and plopped in bed and stayed there until Yvette got home, patched me up. So that was my weird day, Astro, between the fuses and that. Not a normal day. Normally I have good days.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, normally.
A lot of good days.
It was just that was kind of stupid what I did. It was like something you do when you're a kid. I get excited. All right. Enough of that crap. Let's do a little news. Let's do it.
Untold radio news that can be a bit weird is right now.
Could you imagine having a modern dime that was worth $500,000?
No, but I'd like to.
I know, that's a lot of dough, man, for a dime. And I'm like, why do these people pay that? It's missing an S. It was minted without the S.
How about this? Imagine you were the guy that gave that dime to someone at like a gas station.
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm sure I've done millions of,
Right.
not rare like that, but, coins that are maybe worth $10 to people.
Maybe even
I don't
100.
even like change. It just kind of circulates, but it's a pain in the butt. So anyhow, there were 2 of these, and apparently they did have it. So one sold at auction for $456,000 months ago. And then this is a 1975 coin. And then this one sold for $506,000 online on an online auction in Irvine, California. So there you go. But I don't get it, because what value does it really have? None. It's still just a damn dime.
At the end of the day,
I get up. I kind of even have a hard time with paintings that are worth, millions of dollars. I mean, I get if there's some really famous, but I mean, there's a lot of paintings from almost unknown people that sell for $500,000, 100,000. It's like money laundering. But you get into this, and I'm like, well, what value does it have? You can't. What are you gonna do? Stare at your dime with your jeweler's loop because there's no S. Collect. I like to restore old vintage bikes. I get them all, they're all rusty and nasty, and you just sandpaper them and, spray paint them and kind of nut and bolt, clean them. But at least there's some value there when I'm done. Real value, not perceived value. Anyhow, I don't get it. So apparently it says this mint in San Francisco made more than $2.8 million on special uncirculated proof sets. Yeah. All right. Oh, apparently the person that bought the dime paid $7.
$7.
$7. Some people are so smart. And did you know, for the first time since 1938, you can legally go trick-or-treating in Des Moines, Iowa.
Really?
You know that? I never heard this before.
So you couldn't do it legally?
No,
before?
It was basically outlawed. They had a city ordinance. You couldn't do it. And they did that because apparently they were having vandalism problems, and they called it to prevent hooligan action.
Hooligans. Yeah.
So they would do it the day before, and they would close shop on it at 8:00. You had to wind it up. Then they had this kind of thing where you would go up and you had to tell a joke. Just really weird. I don't want to read this whole article, but look it up. It is weird. It says here, I'll read you one line. It says they called it Beggar's Night.
Come on.
This is for a lot of years.
Yeah.
Like, what is it, 70 years?
Wow.
Over 70 years, 7 decades. So, anyhow, kind of weird.
That's a new one for the books.
Yeah, I'd never heard about it, but there you go. All right. They finally caught Houdini, the famous dog in New Orleans. Have you heard about this? No. People have been trying to capture this cute little doggy for, I think, going on over 2 years now. He's outsmarted everybody.
Finally got him.
One of the reasons they wanted to catch him is because he was injured by some projectiles, and and he's just cute, but he's brilliant. So they've dubbed him on social media Houdini of New Orleans. And he's just a scruffy mixed breed dog, right? Best kind, I think. And he escaped from his yard. He's been caught. He weighs 13 pounds, and he was captured Wednesday night, last Wednesday, with the use of a tranquilizer dart. They had to get this poor doggy. And they apparently does have a couple of, they think, like pellets in him. Somebody shot him with a air rifle.
Ouch.
Yeah. Anyhow, he's in good hands.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm getting used to the pink look on you now.
Yeah, it looks good on me, right? Better than looking like a vampire.
Does everybody like Alex a little pink? I think so.
You guys wanted me to get some color. I guess I took it the wrong way.
Anyhow. Oh, I need to get out in the sun too. Okay, Maine this article makes no sense. Maine asks hunters to avoid eating deer and turkey in some areas because of the PFAS, these contamination, these forever chemicals. And I'm thinking, they're warning people not to eat wild game, and I'm thinking, well, how much of this crap is going to be in our normal food, our domesticated food? So this article comes out of Portland, Maine. I mean, it's kind of traditional. I think a lot of people hunt in Maine, right? so much forest up there, but they're apparently finding harmful chemicals in the animal meat.
Ew, that's scary.
Well, yeah, but this stuff's got to be even worse in domestic raised stuff.
And domestic.
You would think, I mean, what the hell? I was thinking, there's got to be a different motivation here.
I think so.
I think so. It can't be. Something's going on. And these PFASs are polyfluoroalkyl substances are chemicals that persist. They call them forever chemicals in the environment. So, it's everywhere. It's really good that we're at least figured it out now, versus another 50 years of using this crap. And then this one is like my favorite story. The last story. It's really a shocker. Scientists recreate the head of an ancient, listen to this, 9-foot long bug. So picture a bug 9 foot long, weighs 100 pounds, and they recreated the head like life size so they can study it. Could you imagine a 9-foot bug that weighed 100 pounds?
That is huge. No, I cannot.
I didn't know that existed. Did you?
No.
Something that big?
It's huge.
Did you know there was 100-pound bugs?
I didn't know that existed. No.
No, so it's new info.
New info, untold information.
Yeah, and it's a kind of an ugly one too, doesn't it? Looks like what's that thing in the Alien movie, that first Alien movie? What did they call it again?
The face hugger.
Yeah, the face hugger.
Hugger.
Yeah. This thing looks like it could be a hugger.
Yeah.
Pinch and hug. Couldn't be any worse than fighting with my bike yesterday with spikes all over it.
Right. Oh my God.
Anyhow, it says this is the largest bug ever to live. It's truly a monster at 9 feet long with several dozen legs. So if that wasn't terrifying enough, scientists could only just imagine what the extinct beast's head looked like. So, and apparently they do have fossils of the exoskeleton, the outside skeleton. So they produced a 3D mugshot after studying the fossils of juveniles that were complete and well preserved. Yep, and they said, if not quite cute. Says there's a round. Says at the top there's some kind of round bulb and a short bell-shaped antenna, two protruding eyes like a crab, and a rather small mouth adapted for grinding leaves and bark. Oh, good, it was a vegetarian.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, it's vegetarian. It's good to know. I think we should bring that back, with this cloning that we talked about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The cloning.
Resurrect these things. We could do it.
No.
We could do it with a home lab kit.
No.
I know people that do, what do they call that? CRISPR. I know people that do CRISPR. Let's do it.
Just crisp one up.
Let it loose in your house.
What's that Jeff Goldblum quote? They were too busy thinking figuring out if they could and not if they should. Something like that.
What?
No, I'm actually turning red.
What movie was that? The Fly?
Jurassic Park.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get it now. It's been a while since I've seen Jurassic Park. So who wants to play trivia? We're going to do it on wild turkeys. Who wants to play trivia with Alex?
All right,
on
you guys.
Wild turkeys.
You guys decide. We will be right back.
I'm an expert at overthinking things that I shouldn't.
stump Alex.
We should have changed it to let's stump Pink Alex. Shouldn't we?
Come on, guys. I think I look great.
I can't keep up with the chat. Who wants to play Alex? Eric says me again. We can play Eric. We don't care. Sophia goes, he does have a hue. You have a hue. We just call you Hugh tonight.
All right. I could, I need a new nickname.
Hugh. We'll call you Hugh. All right. Eric, you want to play? Eric said he's bored. He wants to do it. Okay. I got to get a new score sheet here. This is on turkeys. No cheating.
No cheating.
None.
Oh.
Huh.
Dad, you can call me Huey.
Huey. Yeah, Huey. Hugh for short. All right, here we go.
I'm a redhead now.
Oh my God. All right, I am ready.
All right.
Are you guys ready?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
All right. Thanksgiving is our next holiday. That's why I picked this. And I like wild turkeys, and there was a wild turkeys story. So that's why I'm doing it. Okay. Are turkeys native to the Americas? True or false? Or did they come from another land like Turkey? Are they native to America? True or false? What one?
False.
Sly Fox says true. Alex says false. Eric says true. All right, Eric, you got 1 point. Alex, you are wrong.
No.
They actually are native to Mexico, believe it or not.
Mm.
And apparently then the Europeans, when they came here, they took these wild turkeys back to Europe and then brought back these white ones, the domesticated version. Got it?
Got it.
So why do turkeys gobble? Is it... let's do this. You guys have to name the 3 things. Why do they gobble? What are 3 things you can come up with?
Mating.
Why do turkeys gobble? What?
Mating.
Mating, yeah, that's good. Come on.
To warn off predator.
What? Warn what?
Warn off predators.
Oh, to warn off predators. Okay. Let's do one more.
And to communicate.
Hilton goes, they can't talk. That's why they gobble. That's good.
Yeah.
What's your last one, Alex?
Social skills.
Social skills, like Facebook kind of thing.
Gossiping.
Social skills.
Mating, locating, warning.
Yeah, I think Eric's dialing Flat Rock is a lifeline. Eric, I haven't seen your answers. Or did he answer? Oh, there he is. Mating, danger, keeping chicks in line. So it's mating. Mating, to attract Ann. And when they're surprised by loud sounds, nobody got that one right. And then the other one they didn't get right is when they settle in for the night, they gobble. I used to go. That was part of my job. I'd go to this hunting camp in South Dakota every year. Part of my job was to go out there and put the turkeys to bed. Did you know that? I had to go put them to bed. So I knew where they were.
To bed.
So I'd go out there and gobble, and they would gobble back, and I would locate them, and then I'd come back and then tell everybody in the morning where they were. That was my job.
That's cool.
In South Dakota, yeah. There you go. All right. So I would say you both tied on that one. You both had like one right, the rest wrong. The wild turkey can make, you got to pick one, 10, 20, or 30 different calls. I only know one. They go, what do they do? Blah, blah, blah.
So the 20?
So you're picking 20. They can make 20 different calls.
Yeah.
So rabbits is 20. Come on, Eric. 20. They actually do 30. Although I think, God, I don't know. Yeah, 30 different calls they can do. You're both wrong, so you're tied. It's fine. Eric's winning by 1 point, Alex.
All right. I still got a shot.
How much turkey does the average person eat per year? 6 pounds, 15 pounds, or 20? Do it quick.
20.
6. Alex says 20. What say you, Eric? What's the average person eat in turkey per year? I only eat it once a year. But they claim the average person eats plenty. What does Eric say? Help me out, Alex. Oh, he says 6. It is 15 pounds. You both got it wrong.
15 pounds.
15 pounds. Who got it right in chat? Let's look here. Damn, nobody did, I don't think. No, nobody got it right. The loose, red skin attached to their underside of a turkey's beak, that thing. I call it the dewlap.
The dewlap.
The dewlap. The underside of a turkey's beak is called a dewlap or a chin flap or a wattle. Dewlap, chin flap, or a wattle.
A dewlap, a chin, a wattle.
What's it called? Come on, Eric.
A chin lap.
Chin lap. Okay, it's called a wattle with a T.
Mm.
WATTLE. Well, who would know? And when you buy, I worry that when you buy like ground turkey hot dogs or something, it's got those things in there. Ground.
Tasty.
So it's like, I mean, why wouldn't they? Maybe they're good. I don't know. All right. So when the male turkey is excited during mating season or in the fall, the wattle turns a scarlet red, just so you know. But the fleshy flap of skin hanging over the gobbler's beak is called the wattle is the chin one, but the beak one is called a nose hood, a snood, or a beak wattle.
Beak wattle.
A snood, or a nose hood. Which one? A hood, a snood, or a beak wattle. And that also turns bright red when they get excited.
Beak wattle.
It's kind of like you, Alex. You must be excited. That's why
I'm super nervous tonight.
Changed. That's why you're huge.
That's why they call me Huey.
Yeah. Everybody's saying buttworm, but buttworm's not in chat, is he?
I don't think
Is
so.
buttworm in chat? No, he's not. We need buttworm, but buttworm let us down. He just abandoned us.
Jump ship?
Didn't he? Jump ship?
He's kind of a buttworm.
Yeah. That's probably why he got his name buttworm.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was your answer?
I don't remember.
A nose hood, a snood, or a beak?
A snood.
A snood.
Snood.
What's Eric's answer? Where is he? Eric, okay, you both got it right. You probably looked it up, you cheaters. The wobbly thing on a turkey's chest is that the turkey's what they call a mono nipple, a beard, or a mono nipple. Which one? You know that thing? See that thing on his chest, Alex? You see it?
Yeah, I see.
What's it called?
What are my options?
A mono nipple or a beard?
The beard.
A beard?
Yeah.
Okay. Eric says beard. You both got it right. That wasn't even hard. And it's just so you know, that's made of keratin. The same thing as your fingernails. That beard is made of keratin. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Fingernail. Turkey fingernail. All right. What is a baby turkey called? Is it called a chick, a turklet, or a poult?
A poult.
A poult? What say
Yep.
you, Eric? Tennessee, Kentucky goes mono nipple meat of flat rock. Oh my God. I almost had a mono nipple yesterday.
Oh no.
If I would have been flipped over the other way, I probably would have had a mono nipple. All right. So I'm looking. Come on. Eric has a delay. Oh, he says poult. You say poult?
Poult.
Okay, you're both right. Come on, somebody's got to mess up. Well, actually, he's leading you. All right, this will be a little more tricky. An adult male turkey is called a tom or a jake. An adult male turkey is called a tom or a jake.
It's a tom.
And hi, Maryann. I see you in the back there. How are you? Hi. Anyhow, what did you say? A tom?
Yeah, tom. A tom.
What did Eric say? Tom. You're both right. Because the jake is more of the teenager. It's adolescent. Like you. You'd be a jake.
Yeah, I would.
You'd be a Hugh Jake. That could
Hugh
be your
Jake.
last name, Hugh Jake. The average lifespan for a turkey, a wild turkey, is 3 to 4 years, 5 to 7 years, or 8 to 10 years. 3 to 4 years, 5 to 7, or 8 to 10.
8 to 10.
Yeah, Jake is a yearling. Yeah, that's what Alex is, a yearling. 8 to 10, okay. Wild turkey, Eric, how long do they live? 3 to 4, 5 to 7, or 8 to 10. Mary Jo says 5 to 7. Eric says 5 to 7. John does. Sly Fox says 20 gauge.
20.
Oh my God, you're cracking me up. Pat goes, average lifespan is up until they lose their head.
Oof.
That's brutal. Okay, we got a tough crowd. It is 3 to 4 years. That's how long they live. What did you say, Alex? You both got it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, you both did. So it's 3 to 4, but a domestic turkey for the lifespan of a domestic turkey is different. So from birth to freezer, is it 20 weeks, 26 weeks, or 38 weeks? Pick one.
38 weeks.
38 weeks for Alex. Come on, Eric. How long does it take for a domestic turkey to go from birth to freezer? Ding, ding, ding. Timer is ticking. John Ayers says 38 weeks. My God, chat's killing me. Mark goes, we had one that was 5 years old and had a heart attack. 38 weeks. You're both wrong. It is 26 weeks.
26.
And during that time, okay, to get them to 26 weeks, how many pounds of food does it take to raise a turkey for that 26 weeks, which is just 2 years, a little over 2 years? How much food would you have to have in weight to feed that turkey for a little over 2 years? Is it, here's your choices, 65 pounds, 75 pounds, or 125 pounds of feed?
125 pounds.
125 pounds for Alex. Eric, what say you? So this is how much weight of food. Oh, no, you're right. Yeah, what am I thinking? 26 weeks. There's 52 weeks in a year. It's a half a year. God, thank you, Nixon, for correcting me. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking months. Not weeks. You are right. Thank you for pointing that out. 26 weeks. How much food, Eric? 125. It is 75 pounds of feed. Because as Nixon pointed out, it's only a half a year. So, Alex, go buy a turkey egg. Go get 75-pound bag of food and you're all set.
Perfect. Just
That's it.
75 pounds.
Huh?
It's a good trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Then you won't get those PFASs. Just raise your hand.
To avoid that.
Yeah, we want to definitely avoid that. So what do turkeys weigh? A domestic tom can weigh up to 50 pounds. A domestic hen up to 16. The wild tom can weigh up to what? Is it 20 or 35 pounds? 20 or 35 pounds? A wild turkey.
35.
35, says Alex. What say you? We got to break this stalemate here. Well, actually, it isn't a stalemate. Eric's kicking your butt by double. He's got 1 point over you. Come on,
Stumping Hugh.
Hugh? Yeah, Hugh, you're losing, Hugh. Pink Hugh. You're losing. I can't even. Come on, Eric. He said he's 2 points ahead. Okay. I can't wait to play Monopoly with Eric. You know how that goes?
How?
Why you steal each other's money? He's 2 points. All right, come on. What do they weigh? 20 or 30? Okay, Eric says 35. You said 35, Alex?
Yes.
They're both wrong. Only 20 pounds.
No.
It just holds, and that's it. So Eric won. He stumped Alex once again. Eric says by 2 points. I have no idea which one, but I know he was one ahead for sure, so he did win.
All right, I'll let you get this one.
Yeah, well, he won last time too, Alex.
And that one too.
Eric's a smart guy. Steer clear. Okay, word of the day. Let's get that out of the way.
What's the word of the day, Dad?
Huh?
What's the word of the day?
You don't have the bumper?
No.
How did you miss that?
Well, it's kind of a long story. I would tell you, but I'm really embarrassed if you can tell by how red I am.
Anyhow, it is. Well, if you don't have anything, I can't. You don't have the picture. You don't have anything.
Well, I mean,
there ain't no word of the day. I'll save it for next week.
Okay.
When the director, whoever that is, gets it, actually,
yes.
You got to grab it every week.
Yes, every week.
Every week. So we'll just do it next week. All right. So why did the lizard, Alex, go to the urologist?
Why did
the lizard go to the urologist?
Why?
Because he had reptile dysfunction.
Oh, nice.
And why did, I'm making up for the lack of Halloween costumes. Why don't ghosts have kids? Anybody know? You're so smart, Eric. Why don't ghosts have kids? Alex is out of bumpers today. Sorry, Sly Fox. Things will go back to normal next week. Come on. Why don't ghosts have kids?
Why?
Because, I've been waiting for you to ask why. Jeez, I can't just answer the damn question. Because they all have hollow weenies.
Oh no. Oh no.
Why don't monsters eat ghosts?
Why? Why don't they eat ghosts?
Because they all taste like sheet.
Sheet.
Sheet. S-H-E-E-T. Sheet.
Yes, sheet.
Sheet. They taste like sheet.
Yes. Like tonight, I'm doing a sheet job.
Yeah. What is a skeleton's favorite snack?
What is it?
Spare ribs.
Spare ribs.
And I'll just do one last more. Maybe. What do you call a blind dinosaur?
What do you call a blind dinosaur?
Do you think he saw us?
Do you think he saw us like a saurus?
Yeah. Yeah. So a man assaulted me the other day with milk.
Really?
And I thought, how dare he? Bad. That was really bad, isn't it?
Oh, that was my favorite.
The last one, for sure. This is the last one. What did the egg say to the boiling water, Alex?
What did it say?
And if you're under 18, plug your ears. What did the egg say to the boiling water?
What?
I don't know if I can get hard. I just got laid an hour ago.
Okay, that's my favorite.
That's an innuendo joke, right?
Yes. It's
All right, one more innuendo joke. What does frozen beer, a burnt pizza, and a pregnant woman have in common?
what?
These are all examples. What do they have in common?
What do they have in common?
Someone forgot to pull all of them out in time. Someone forgot to pull it out in time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's not funny though, is it? Where do bad rainbows go?
Where?
To Prism. God, that's so bad. All right. Should we God, we're running late tonight. This is crazy. Let's bring on our guest. And I will introduce her quick, and she can help us with the clips, and maybe you be the judge clips. That'd be nice,
Okay.
wouldn't it?
Okay. Perfect.
All right.
Yes.
Because we have a tech breakdown we haven't done yet. Man, I just gosh, I got to do it. Give me 1 second here. Man. All right. So Ann Ziebell. I have not met Maryann. I'm excited to meet her. She apparently had an interest in cryptids from an early age, like a lot of us. I don't know why. Some of us just got slapped too much or something when we were born, right? Alex has no interest. You, Alex?
Cryptids?
Yeah, in cryptids.
I have no interest in them finding me.
No, right. She wants to be found. So apparently, apparently there was a haunted local library when she was a kid. She read every book on the subject. She roamed the woods at her grandmother's house, and blah, blah, blah. And as an adult, she continued her interest, which I did too. Same kind of thing for me. And apparently she had an interest in all the books and TV shows on the topic. And then she was told at one point that there were actually Bigfoot expeditions, right? In southern Missouri. She joined one. And apparently she went with her husband, Robert, and they went on one, and Robert was skeptical. But apparently she had an experience, Class 8 sighting, which I'm really excited to hear. And that kind of set the course for the rest of her life. She became a BFRO investigator. And it says apparently she founded the successful and growing Ozark Mountain Bigfoot Conference. That's a big deal. It's a lot of work. It's like Abe Del Rio did, Mark DeWorth.
Ton of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It says her investigating has led her to lead future expeditions in Arkansas, Oklahoma, and apparently Robert, her husband, has become more of a believer. Right?
Right.
Maryann says Sasquatches apparently are drawn to her, which I can kind of believe that, I guess, on some level. I don't know how it's possible, but she's passionate. So let's go ahead and bring Maryann on.
All right, just a minute here. Hello.
Hey, Maryann.
Hello.
How are you? Say, I don't get down to Oklahoma, Missouri, that neck of the woods. I don't. I don't know why. And I did at one point, had an opportunity to in a show called Mysterious Encounters. And even then, something came up and I couldn't go. So that whole area is kind of like weird to me. And I hear so many amazing things. I know it's a great habitat. So, why do you think there's so many Bigfoots in that area? Because I know there is.
It's the terrain. In this area, once you leave the city, you are in a rural area immediately. We have all kinds of lakes. The Mark Twain National Forest covers thousands and thousands and thousands of acres. The deer are so thick down here this time of the year, there are dead deer on the side of the road from being hit. So the deer are thick. And we have all kinds of lakes and rivers. And so you've got everything you need. You've got cover, you've got food, you've got water.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, let me ask you this question. Have you seen this too, that huge increases in the deer population? And do you think the Bigfoots have also, their numbers have probably gone up? Have you talked to the old timers that go, dang, there seems to be more Bigfoots?
Yeah, I think so, because people are always like, well, how can these areas sustain such a large creature? Well, we don't know what their metabolism is.
Right.
And they want to compare a Bigfoot to a human. Well, a lot of people in this day and age eat way too much, things we don't need. We don't need all of that. So, but if a Bigfoot is still doing what it's always done, maybe it doesn't have the metabolism we do, and they can exist on less than what we think because we have to have so much to exist anymore.
God, you would think a population of Bigfoots could literally survive just on the deer kill left on the freeways.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they don't have to do anything.
But, it's not only the deer. It's like the deer population has gone up, the coyotes, the raccoons, the possums, all of it has. And I'm sure they utilize all of those things.
That's kind of nuts.
They're out there with it. Why not?
All right. So we're going to hold off right there. We're going to pick up when we're done. But I want to include you on this tech breakdown thing because I think it's pretty creative what I've come up with for tonight. It's untested the way I'm presenting it, but I've used it many times. And that is, are you ready, Alex, for that? Do you got that bumper? Or should I just go bumperless today?
Here we go. We're going to bump.
All right. Okay. So, helium. I used to use, Maryann, I used to use what we called flotographs. Have you ever heard of a flotograph?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So it was a big balloon. It was quite involved. We had a big winch. We had a big, huge, what would you call a spool system that it was so big it would have to be carried by a pickup truck. But I thought to myself, nowadays you can buy helium tanks, the whole tank, on Amazon for $60, right? You can buy these balloons that are 36 inches. You can get, I think, 8 of them for $11. That's cheap, right? So you've got balloons, and now we've got micro and small thermal cameras. Back when I was using the photograph, and we used it in several states, I even used it in Nepal when we went to look for the Yeti. But you could literally use a very small thermal camera, which you can get cheap now, put it on the bottom of either, I don't know if it would be one balloon. I'm sure 2 would fly it. You're in a remote camp somewhere. You go camping, or even in a camp where there's quite a few people. You throw your thermal camera on this balloon, you float it up, you let it just free swing, but aim the lens downward. So even if there's a light breeze, it's going to be sweeping silently the forest. And if you can put it up 200 feet, I guess, how could that possibly, freak a Bigfoot out? I don't think it would. You could even go 300 feet, if there's no air traffic, 400. I don't know the rules, but they've kind of outlawed drones in a lot of these national parks.
Yeah, they have.
But this would be a really silent way around that, because I always felt that a thermal camera suspended way up high, would be very effective as one of these creatures came into camp. Be really amazing. So this is something you can try very cheap, especially if you already own a small thermal camera. In fact, I would probably haul a pretty big one up. But for $11 for 8 of these balloons and $60, you can probably blow up, I'm thinking 10 of these for $60 in helium, and people could chip in on it. I just don't think it's undoable for the home person to start, people that, just a regular person, because very few people are going to be able to afford a photograph. They're like 30 grand probably, right? Big money. But this, you're going to have $72 into it. That's doable. And I've never heard that ever brought up by anybody. And these balloons are 36 inches. And then, and helium's non-toxic. It's not flammable. It's pretty safe to transport. This tank, I believe, is 14 gallons or 13 liters. But you can get them up to 16 liters. And a 16 liter will blow up 50 regular latex balloons, or 10 huge ones like these 36 inchers. $60 delivered. That includes the shipping. So there you go. And then if you don't have a thermal camera, Alex, throw up that photo 11. This is just one I know you can use. Photo 11, if you've got it. Do you have it, Alex?
You see it?
There it is. Yep, photo 11. This is a HP 96 thermal imaging camera, $189, and it'll record many hours of footage. You can just put this up on a balloon, tether it off on a tree or your tent, and forget about it. Put it up as high as you feel comfortable and forget about it. What's the worst that could happen? You get nothing. Well, we get nothing most 99% of the time anyhow, right? I'm sure you agree, Maryann.
Yep.
So what do you, just as a researcher and somebody pretty active, what do you think about a goofy idea like this?
I don't think it's goofy at all. It's actually a really good idea because, it's nighttime when these things come in most of the time anyway. So,
Yeah. Well, throw up photo 13, Alex. A couple more things I want to show people. If you can find it. There you go. You can get dark balloons. This is the one I'd go with, really dark blue. Mm-hmm. They have them in every color under the rainbow. Maybe you want to attract a Bigfoot. Maybe you could put a Colume light in. You could drop one of those in. Maybe it would attract a Bigfoot. We don't know. There's just so much we don't know. We don't know anything. But that would be my color choice right there. And then to keep everything even getting bigger, they have balloon clamps now. Throw up 14, photo 14. You can reuse your balloons week after week.
That's awesome. That's super great.
So clamp the damn things.
Great,
You can unclamp them. You don't have to throw these balloons away. You can use them week after week. I know you can also refill those tanks cheaper than buying a whole new tank. I believe it would be about half the price. So to refill a helium tank the second time's $30. So there you go. Oh, and they have different clamps. There's another one, photo 15. I did my research. Photo 15, Alex. It's another type. You twist it and then feed it through, and that works too. I like this one actually, maybe better. So, poor man's photograph under $100 with your small thermal cameras.
Definitely may have to try that.
Yeah, no, I think it's, I really do think it's worthwhile because aerial surveillance to me is the way to go. Excuse me. And I tell everybody, one of my sayings I always say, Maryann, is it's going to be a multi-step process. If you're going to get footage, it's going to be a multi-step process and it's going to be difficult. It's not going to be just, slapping the trail camera on the tree. It's going to be something like this that's going to get the next really amazing footage.
Yes, something outside the box.
Yeah, outside the box and multi-step. It's more likely to fool them or make them curious or something. And if we don't try, we'll never know. And even if it gets tried, but I think you'd be a great, it'd be really great for your group and the BFRO to try it. Because Matt used to help me. He used to help me with that photograph all the time.
Yeah,
definitely. And by the way, just so you know, when we were doing that, the thermal cam was at least $55,000.
Oh, wow.
Those days. And I was putting it up on a balloon, I had my fingers crossed every time. And it was on a gimbal. We had a gimbal. But, that's not necessary. That's just toys. Hang the damn thing. You have a wide angle lens on those things anyhow. It's going to cover the whole area. You're going to get movement with either kind of balloon. I just think this is the way to go. All right. And then next week, I'm going to talk about floating, not in the air camera traps, but in the water. I got some really cool ideas I want to share. So in the water next week. All right. So there we go. That's it. And I'm going to skip the clips because we can skip the clips. But we have kind of an announcement. And poor Maryann's getting caught right in this. What do you call this? Changing of the guard, Alex?
The I don't know, caught in a crossfire. No, it's something like that.
No. Okay, so we got to shift gears just a little bit. So there's a big change coming to Untold Radio. It's it's really cool, and we're all excited, but we're all scared, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
We love it, but we're scared, and that's because Untold Radio Network continues to grow. It's getting bigger and bigger, and of course, Alex doesn't just manage this show; he manages it's like 11 other ones. There's another new one starting, isn't there? The Footprints in my mind.
Yeah. That's starting. That's still on the docket. And
it's coming soon. But I'm just trying to give you an idea. Alex has got his hands full. So what we're going to do, we're going to be taking Alex off the air so we can focus on the behind the scenes stuff. And a man we're going to introduce you to who's going to help interview you, Maryann. That's why you're caught in the crossfire.
Oh, okay.
A man is going to interview you. He's a wonderful guy, super brilliant. I've worked with him quite a bit. He's a good, dear friend. We met through a million coincidences. He was actually a customer of Hangar One, a customer of Untold Radio. He was a listener of Untold Radio. And through a whole bunch of weird coincidences, I think, didn't you hire somebody who was like his best friend's wife, Alex.
One of his best friend's
Yeah.
girlfriends. Am I doing that right?
Yeah, his
Am I
best
doing the math?
friend's wife. Yes. That you
Yeah,
hired
so,
to work in the office. So anyhow, this is a long story short. Something was pointing towards Jeff coming
It was
to
destiny.
to join the company and join us in growth. And Alex is going to spend a lot more time in the behind the scenes. But we love Alex. And so obviously he's my son. I'll see him all the time anyhow. But I know I enjoy doing this show with you because it's been, it's just fun. Just like tonight, you're a little pink and we're teasing you.
His
camera got out.
I'm getting a little red.
Yeah, something happened. But we really do love you. You've done an amazing job on camera. He has promised to bop you in plenty of times.
I will be around.
He'll be around. He ain't going anywhere, obviously, but he's going to bop in. But the main job is going to go to Jeff Perella Jr., right?
Yes.
And we're going to bring Jeff on. Can we get Jeff on? You got to go to a break and then swap with Jeff, correct?
Yes.
And then why don't you go ahead and give us your little thing? I'm sorry, I kind of hogged that.
Yeah, it's bittersweet. It's it's sad. I'm gonna miss you guys a lot, but to Doug's point, I will be around. As Hangar One continues to grow and the Untold Radio Network, I want to make sure that everyone's getting the support they need. We can continue to bring you guys, really good programming, and we want to do a lot moving forward here. And it's just outgrown my ability to juggle, I guess you could say. But Jeff, you guys are gonna love him. He's obviously been on the show before. He's brilliant. He is passionate about this topic. He's been helping a bunch with Legend Meets Science too. He built a baby Bigfoot robot. Come on. That's just sweet. At that point, I knew he was the one that could, take things over for me, and was sincere in his beliefs in these topics. And, his passion shows through. He actually is, contributing to the community. He's trying to figure out creative ways to help bring this topic forward. So with that, I'm going to be, I'll be, like I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be around. I'm going to disappear for a second, and we're going to get Jeff on.
Thank you. See, you got caught right in the crossfire. Don't you love it? Does this happen to you all the time?
No, but
anyhow,
we'll just go with it.
Do you ever get to talk to Matt?
We text.
Okay. Yeah, if it wasn't for Matt, I wouldn't be here. Matt was kind of my definitely my mentor, and we both pursued the TV thing, together.
Mm-hmm.
Science, and then went on to do Mysterious Encounters with Matt. Matt used to actually have Alex's office, believe it or not, up here in our neck of the woods. So Alex is in Matt's old office, it's a small world, right?
Right, exactly.
And Matt's brilliant. I like to surround myself with smart people because I'm not that smart, as you heard from the goofy story of what happened to me yesterday. And this is Jeff Perella Jr. Hello, Jeff. Long time no see.
Hello, everyone.
Are you nervous?
Not really. I'm no, not at all.
Oh, good.
It's been a lot of fun.
I think we're all going to miss Alex.
Absolutely.
But you bring something different to the table, and everybody brings something different, right?
Yeah.
It won't be exactly the same show, but I think you'll like it just as much in its own unique way. I think Jeff has got just a ton to offer, and I think it'll be fun. And
Thank you.
and Jeff, so why don't you tell a little bit of the story, how we met, just real quick, because we don't want to keep Maryann. Well, you're not in a hurry, are you, Maryann? Good.
Nope, I'm here.
You just look mellow. You're all chill. I love it. You got
Sure. Well,
it.
first, I just want to acknowledge Alex's tremendous contribution to this show and to the community, and to thank you guys for the opportunity to be here. This is really fun. I'm excited. I love this community, and I love this topic, and onward and upward. Let's do it. So just a brief story. I don't know. It was really kind of just synchronicity. So many weird coincidences brought us together, and Doug and I clicked. Gosh, immediately. I mean, I remember the first night we met, we were like, great friends right away. It just was so many things in common, and we have so much fun talking, and we have a million hobbies in common, and just great to be here.
Yeah, Robert Hoffman said, it's now the Doug and Jeff show. Yep, exactly. And it will be, the show will change a bit. It just, no doubt it will. We'll probably do a few things differently, and that's all part of it. But the main thing is, I'm not going anywhere. I don't do this for any other reason other than I just enjoy it and enjoy meeting people like Maryann. And that's kind of what life's all about, because if we don't enjoy, hanging out with each other, because, Maryann's my people, Jeff's my people, you guys, we all have this bond. There's actually quite a bond there. It really is. And you realize that when you go to these conferences. Now, you put conferences on, Maryann. Isn't that amazing when you get all of your people together?
It is. It's phenomenal.
It's a weird feeling almost.
Yeah. Well, you're with a bunch of like-minded people, and that's so unusual in this day and age.
So one of the things that I do when I talk at a conference, the first thing I always do, and I always do it, is to say, I look at everybody and I go, you realize that all of you people are 1% of the population. They're there. They could be doing a million other things. They're there because they want to learn.
Yes.
Right? So how many people are willing on a busy Saturday, a beautiful Saturday, to sit there and watch lectures? They're there because they want to learn. They're curious. They have that sense of curiosity. And so they're smarter than the average person. And I mean that to everybody in chat too. You guys are all smarter than the average person. You're not. Don't let anybody say, "Oh, you're not smart because you believe in Bigfoot." No. You're all investigators. You're all scientists. You're all smart, and that's what I want to, just do any way I can. Try to make it fun, but in the real sense, we're all just curious. I know how curious Jeff is. I mean, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's like I've never met anybody that you've not had an experience yet.
No.
But man, I mean, this guy is like beyond into this topic. I mean, it's
yeah. Well, I've read a lot, and I think the way to describe this community is we're open-minded pursuers of truth.
Yeah.
And this show is kind of our little clubhouse to hang out at every week. It's a lot of fun. It's fun to be around everybody, fun to see everybody in chat. This is our clubhouse. This is for us. This is great.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And the fact that we have not bought into the narrative that these things don't exist, the fact that they're seen, have been documented 10,000 times, right? I mean, how does that happen if they're not real? It doesn't. Yeah, it's anecdotal. I don't care what it is. I've seen them. I know that they're real. Other people in chat have seen them. Other people in chat know somebody that have seen them that they love and trust. And that's enough. And so we just want to get to the bottom of it. And we want to cure, as Flat Rockland just said, the cure for curiosity. Yep. And there is no cure for curiosity, but it's a curiosity that makes us smart. So with that, let's start our show. Jeff?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna let you grab Maryann and ask her first question.
Okay. Well, I should have prepared for that, and it's a lot on my mind. Well, when I read your Maryann, when I read your bio, one of the things that I find interesting was how you got your husband interested in it, and he wasn't really interested in it. I'd like to hear more about that. I'd like to hear more about what you did to kind of urge him into showing more interest in this, taking part in research with you. I think the idea of, the people that we talk to are obviously passionate about the subject, but their spouses and partners might not be. And I think that's something that's worth talking about. If you'd like to talk about that, I'd love to hear it.
So, how we got started, I work with a bunch of ladies, and one of them had came in one day and was talking about locally a report. And I was still at that point in time, didn't really realize, that these things were here, that I thought it was, East, West Coast, whatever. So I started digging around, got on the BFRO, found that they had expeditions. And so I'm finding all the information I can. My husband comes home and I said to him, I want to go Bigfoot hunting. And he just looked at me like I'd lost my mind, right? He's like, what? You want to do what? So I started explaining, and he's like, he looks like deer in the headlights at this point, because that's kind of how I am. I'll come up with something, and he's like, okay. So it took a little talking, and he decided, he'd go with me on that first expedition. If nothing else, he was just camping was what he was doing. And we were out there, and the first evening we ended up having an experience. I saw it. He didn't, but he was with this other group of 10 people. There was a total of 10 of us there. And so he got to experience what everybody else, he knew there was something there, even though he couldn't see it, and everything that was going on with the group. So at that point, he was skeptical. The next day when we went back to this area to check it out, he's the one that found the footprint. So I think part of it was that he just agreed because, I'm his wife. He's going to go with me, whatever I'm doing. But over time, the things that we have found have made him less skeptical. He's still a skeptic. He's not had that Class A sighting, but he has heard things, and he has, he's found a footprint. He's experienced things being thrown from the woods, things like that. So he knows there's something there. And when you ask him, he'll say, I haven't seen it, but I have experienced things that I cannot explain. So I know that there's something out there. I just don't know what it is yet. So that's kind of where he's on it. He enjoys the camping, and he enjoys the camaraderie with all the people. And so, he's kind of, it's growing on him is where we're at,
great.
Because all these people have become our family. They really and truly have. I've met some of my best friends now. And if I hadn't got into Bigfoot, I wouldn't have ever met these people.
So does he give you like a percentage how less skeptical, like he thinks they're 90% chance they're real, or is he still 50-50, or, so where is Robert?
He doesn't give me any percentages or anything like that. I think as time goes on and the more things we experience, it just pushes him closer and closer.
But did he start at zero?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where he started. He was just like, he wouldn't even tell him at work what we were doing.
Okay.
He told him we were camping. And for the first couple of different times we went, we were just camping. Right? Yeah, just camping. That's all it was for him. And now he tells them it's like every place we go, we buy Bigfoot t-shirts. He wears his Bigfoot t-shirts. He doesn't have a problem with it anymore. He tells people, my wife, she hunts Bigfoot, Yeah,
isn't that amazing? point in your life when you realized, I remember the point in my life, the first time I talked to Matt, and Matt goes, these things are everywhere. There's woods, water, and hills. And I'm like, what? How come I'd never heard this before? And he's like, there's reports in every state where there's water, enough water. And, you've got forest cover, and the sightings always happen near water and in forest and on hills. And if you have all three things, you have more sightings. And I'm like, God, that makes total sense. But why haven't I ever heard this other than from you? So it was just this kind of ding, 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 and the light bulb went off. And I had already found my own footprints up in the Arctic. And then with what he said, and when did you have that kind of moment? When was your moment, your light bulb moment, Maryann?
Even after the night when I had the Class A sighting, I thought that's what you kind of did, when you went on these, you got to see them, right? I mean, I didn't have a clue. I did not. And it was the next day when I was sitting with one of the leaders of the group, and he was talking to me. He's like, they're all over the place here. And he's naming places off in southern Missouri where there's been sightings. And I'm like, what? Wait, and he's like, no, there's water, there's cover, there's food. He goes, they're all over the place. And that was kind of the aha moment there that I realized that they were all over the place here. And so it made me go back and start to rethink things that had happened to me as a child when I was out in the woods. Because our mind can't wrap around something that we're told does not exist. So you have to find something to explain things that happened to you.
Did you have any experiences when you were a child?
I realized I did later on. And part of it too was listening to podcasts and people talking about these things that happened to themselves. Because my grandmother had about 50 acres. And as a kid, I was given free reign of that. As long as I stayed inside the fence, I could play wherever I wanted, right? And there was a specific spot on the property that I would not go to because I always felt like somebody was watching me. And I would tell my mother and my grandmother this. And my grandmother said, oh, it's that old man that walks through the woods. Well, we did have a guy that he would walk from town and come out, and he was like a handyman, right? Well, at the time, a little kid, it's your grandparent. Okay. All right. I just kind of took her at her word. But, when you think about it as an adult, and it's like, okay, how did he always know exactly when I was going to be there and he was sitting and waiting? He wasn't, but there was that part that just, I wanted no part of it. I never played down there. If I went through it, I went through it really quick, to get where I was going. The other thing that would happen at my grandmother's house, she had bedrooms. She had taken the front porch and had it closed in. So she had bedrooms. And when the grandkids stayed, that's where they stayed. And you would hear sometimes at night, like slapping. And she would tell us it was the coyotes and it was their tail hitting the house as they ran past. Okay. I never questioned that till a few years ago. And I was sitting in the living room and I'd been watching some Bigfoot show, something. And I'm looking at my dogs and one of them's got a fluffy tail like a coyote. The other one it was a mastiff. So he had that big, thick tail. And it just dawns on me, you would not hear that hitting the side of the house, because the noise that you heard, it wasn't something that made the whole house shake, but it was more like a hand slapping the side of the house. So, it wasn't that my grandmother was lying to me. I don't think she knew what it was, because I asked my mother, I said, did she ever say anything in regards to having weird things happen, because she lived not far from the river. There was a farm. There was all kinds of deer. We had cattle that we fed, all that kind of stuff. So, perfect place for him to be. And my mother said she never, my grandmother never talked about having anything weird happen. But then my grandmother wasn't out at night either. She lived by herself, So, but yeah, there were things that happened on my grandmother's property that now I look back on and go, okay, that really makes me question it.
Well, yeah, that definitely would. The hand slaps are so common, where they come up and they slap the cabin or the side of the cabin. It's kind of like, what else would do that? And because the audience needs to get to know you, Jeff, when was your kind of aha moment on this whole topic?
100% watching your documentary, Legend Meets Science.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. I've always been interested in everything, nature, animals, science, space, everything. And, like everyone, I saw the Patterson-Gimlin film years ago, and it's intriguing, but watching your documentary is really what made me think about it in a scientific way. And the word I like to use is, a lot of people use the word believers. I don't like the word believers. I like talking about plausibility. And even though we don't have a smoking gun, the more I read, the more I research, the more I talk to people, the biological plausibility of these animals is just so strong. I truly believe, from a scientific perspective, their existence is much more likely than their non-existence. Just there's so much evidence that can't easily be explained away. And I'm really
there's like
looking forward to Legend Meets
smoking
Science
guns
too.
like crazy. I mean, there's tons of them.
Yeah.
And it's fueled. Don't you both find that that's like what's so cool about this mystery is it's fueled every hour, every day, fueled. It's not like we have to wait, like the Loch Ness Monster. That one's fueled maybe every, 5 years. Somebody will maybe get some kind of weird footage, and a lot of times that can even be debunked pretty quick. But the Bigfoot mystery is fueled on such a regular heartbeat in every state, every day, by new sightings. And it's like, it's fueled so much. It's kind of like we trying to deny. I'm trying to give an example. Deny there's a police department in every city. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't see a police car every day, but you kind of know they're there. You just
Absolutely.
do. You don't have to see them every day, but it's fueled. I mean, everybody knows there's a police department there. That's not a very good analogy, but yeah, I think it's just nuts. So let's talk about your Class A sighting. I hate to use that word, Class A, whatever. They're all just like amazing. If you've had any kind of encounter, it's amazing. But you actually put your eyes on one.
Yes.
I'd love to. Maybe you can share that story and kind of start from the beginning.
Okay. Well, that was the incident that I was just speaking about. So after I spoke to my husband about it, I got on the website and I did everything that I needed to do to go on a BFRO expedition. And I think I signed up in the spring, and that year wasn't until the fall. So I had to wait, and I'm watching everything, and I just anything and everything because I'm really excited at this point. And my kids thought I had lost my mind because they're like, Mother, you're going out with 30 or 40 people you don't know to the woods. They were just like, thought we were crazy for doing it, but I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Leave me alone.
Sounds like fun.
Right. They thought I was crazy, but I was excited. And I remember as we pulled into camp, I looked at my husband. I said, this is either going to be the greatest thing we've ever done, or these people are nuts and we're going to know real fast. Needless to say, it was the greatest thing we've ever done, but yeah, we had no clue. And that first evening, about 9:00, they're like, okay, gear up, so we're novice. I mean, it's the first time we've been, we change our clothes, we get our little lights, and we take off because with this particular group, all the new people went with one person, and the ones that had been before kind of split off and went. And we'd been 2 or 3 places that evening. And it's finally, it's about midnight. All the groups have met back up in one central area, and they decide to take off, split up into the same groups, but we're just going to go in different directions in this one area. And our group takes off walking down the road, and we get to a certain point, and the gentleman that was leading the group, he says, hey, let's hop off here. Let's walk into the woods. So we did. And we got to this area. We kind of meandered around and went behind this large down tree. And he says, let's sit down and just listen. So we all did. And we're kind of sitting in a lopsided circle, because that's how the opening was. And I'm sitting there, and I remember I'm looking to my left, the girl that's sitting next to me, and she's got camo pants, a camo hoodie and everything. She pulls the hood up and proceeds to take a nap. And I remember I would look away and look back at her, and it was like, if you did not know she was there, you would have walked right past her. And I'm kind of, I'm mulling this over. And in the meantime, I'm listening. I could hear the rest of the group. They're having a discussion at this point about how many of us are there in this group. And they finally come, kind of count everybody off. And there's 10 people here. Well, at this point, there's 11 of us sitting in this group. So at this point, some of the men stood up and started to move toward this 11th person. Well, it was not a person, and it jumped up, rolled over the berm, and took off. So this has gotten a good part of the group all excited. So my husband and myself and a younger girl, my husband is on my left-hand side, this younger girl's on my right-hand side, and we're standing there. We're the farthest back in the group now, because we didn't run forward. We're just standing there listening. I hadn't seen that because, like I said, I was paying attention to the girl in the camo. And so at this point, we're all facing the same direction. We're listening to guys. And there's this loud, slapping behind us. And, I kind of looked at my husband, and he acknowledged, yeah, he's hearing it. And this little girl's looking at me. And so we all hear it. And so I turned around, and I'm looking behind us. And I took, 4 or 5 steps, and I'm trying to see. And at that point, probably 25 yards away, this large upright figure steps out from this tree, and it's not trying to hide. It's not tree peeking. It's full on standing there. Now, it was a full moon, so you can't see the facial features because the moon's overhead, the sky's clear. But you can see this large, upright, hairy figure standing there. And at one point, it takes a step and steps all the way to the other side of the tree. It was like it wanted us to see it, to pay attention to it, and not maybe the young one that had been sitting
that's
there.
what I think. Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And so it was like making sure that we were seeing it. So at this point, my husband is trying to get the expedition leader's attention. He's like, you need to come over here. So he comes over. Well, he's so excited from what's happened. He can't focus enough to see this thing standing 25 yards from us. And then at that point, you can hear movement off to our left. There's another one moving. Now, we never saw that one, but you could hear it moving. The one that we could see, it's just standing there. I mean, it wasn't doing anything aggressive. It's just standing there.
Was it you and another woman?
No, I was the only one seeing it. The little girl went to her father by that point.
Oh, so you were alone.
I was about 4 or 5 feet from the group when my husband got the expedition leader and brought him over.
I gotcha.
So at that point, they're there. I mean, and the whole group is behind us, but I'm the one, I'm seeing it, and I'm pointing to the tree, and they're just so excited they can't focus on this, And so at that point, they're like, once we start to hear the other movement out there, he's like, all right, that's it. We're going. We're getting surrounded. I'm like, no, this is what we came for. This is what we're here for. I want to stay. I was politely told that if I did not leave, I would be picked up and carried out of the woods. So I left the woods on my own accord. I was not carried out. But as we were walking out of the woods, you could hear it. It was following us out. And so we went back to the road. And this is just one of those, chip and seal roads that runs through a lot of the national forest type stuff. We're walking back up to one of the other groups, and one of those people is standing up there, and they're actually therming. And they're like, hey, you left somebody down there at the end of the road. And we all kind of laughed. We're like, yeah, no, we didn't. We're all together. They're like, no, there's somebody at the end of the road. And we're like, yeah, that's probably what followed us out of the woods, And so at that point, they're trying to kind of check the timber behind so that they can do a size comparison with somebody else. The group gets up, looks at the therm. One of the taller guys, I think he's like 6'5", went back down. This thing was probably 1.5 feet taller than him. And it had just came out, stood, watched us walk back up the road, and disappeared. So the next morning after breakfast, we go back. And as we're walking in, there's a large mud hole. And my husband found the track that was in the mud hole. Now, there was so much water in it, you couldn't cast it. But you could see this large print in the mud hole that we had all walked past coming out. So I thought it was kind of funny. I saw it, but he found the track the next day. And so the area that we had went and unknowingly sat down in, when you stood up on the berm and looked at it, it looked like a large bedding area. There were no saplings. Everything was completely flat. And if you turned around and looked on the other side of it, you could see the saplings and everything that was growing up. But this whole area was all matted down. And I think that this was their bedding area. And we just kind of stumbled into it and sat down in it. And I don't know if the one that was with us was already in that group. Like, was it already sitting there? Did we walk in and it just stayed? Or was it kind of following us and it just sat there once we all came in and sat down? Don't know. But there was probably at least 3 of them in the woods up there with us that night. So
interesting, very interesting. Do you did you have the feeling that you were safe no matter what, though? I mean,
I did. I didn't feel like at any point there was anything threatening, because it wasn't coming at us. It wasn't even swaying. It was just standing there like, look at me and let my kid get out of here.
Right, exactly.
Even as it paced us out, I don't think it was threatening. I think it was just making sure we were leaving because there were smaller ones in the area.
Could you describe the size, or did you see any muscle definition or like width or any kind of details?
It's
shoulders
like, I think this one, I want to say it was probably like more like 7 feet. And I remember that the shoulders were wide, probably like 3 to 3.5 feet, and it was just this large mass, it was just large all over. And it was dark. And like I said, the moon was out, but this figure was either black or very dark brown. And you could tell that the hair was shaggy, it had longer hair on it. But yeah, as far as like the muscle and that kind of thing, no, I couldn't see anything like that.
Did you notice a smell at all? Any kind of odor?
I have never, in all the things we've ever done, I've never came across an odor. And I'm beginning to wonder, just my personal opinion, I think that's something that they can control.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think they do it to scare you or when they've been scared.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. It's a good conclusion because that's what gorillas do. That's what other animals do. Yeah, I think they're very clean creatures.
Yeah, I know people, I've heard reports where they talk about them being dirty and they smell and matted hair and things like that. And it's like, well, maybe that's a sick one.
Right. They could be sick or, like humans, there could be the oddball that goes.
The lazy one.
Or it's just really
or they could
old.
be
Could be old. Could be very old. Could have a toothache. Could be as simple as that. They don't feel good.
Yeah.
Could be a threat response.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to get this some questions to you from the chat. China Production says, noticing all of the horses behind you. Do you ever ride? Have you gone out on horseback?
When I was young, I used to ride all the time. I practically lived on a horse. I have not gone out on a horse, but we do have that planned. I have been talking to Brian and Wayne, and that's something that we're maybe trying to plan in the future, is taking those guys out and doing an expedition on horseback. But that's a lot to put together.
Yeah, they obviously I think horses could be very effective. They certainly were for Roger and Bob. When they went on. I had one really crazy experience on horseback too. Where
story.
We had rode through an area in the St. Croix Valley that there was no smell, everything was normal. And then we rode back and there was this terrible, it was horrible. I had to cover my face. Everybody smelt it. And then there's this coyote laying in the trail that was alive but paralyzed. So that means it had been placed there.
Yeah.
It had a broken spine. So the only conclusion one can make, there could be other possibilities. But when you couple it with the smell, that something intimidated us by grabbing a coyote, breaking its back, and setting it there on the trail in front of us.
Yeah.
What other conclusion would there be?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maryann, I had a thought. For so much of this hobby and this interest in this community, it's been kind of a boys' club. We all know that. There's the male point of view is ubiquitous. Most of the books, most of the documentaries are from a male point of view, so we don't even really to discuss that. One of the best things that's happened in the last 5 to 10 years is just such a huge influx of women taking part in this community, which I think is great. I've spent a ton of time in the woods, but it's mostly with guys doing guy things. I'm certainly open to spending more time in the woods with women. And I would love to hear more about your perspective on what do you think, a woman is going to come up with things that would never occur to me or most men. What do you think is the most value that women can bring? And what have you noticed in your experiences a difference when you're with women or by yourself or with men? Do you think there's been any differences in your experiences?
Well, that's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up because this is a boys' club, and I don't know, there may be something wrong with me. I really like the boys' club, have more fun in the boys' club. But I find most women, not all, but most women, when you go out there, they, especially if they're, reserved and calm and they can be such an asset. And I think that, I think they find us intriguing, because we're the female side of it, and we are less threatening. And I think that's a big part of it, because men, whether they mean to be sometimes or not, can be very threatening or come across as dominant or territorial. And you don't get that kind of thing with women. We don't go out there trying to be stealthy and quiet and sneak up, because you're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. And We did an expedition with the conference back in September, and myself and another lady went and sat in the woods. Now, the rest of the group wasn't too far from us, but we just went up there and sat down, started talking and having a good time and just chit-chatting. And then we got kind of tickled and went, what are we going to do if one runs right past us here? Because we're on the ground. We're not going anywhere real quick. And we were kind of giggling about it. We're like, well, I guess we'll just pee our pants together here, but okay. But I think that's part of it too. You have to put yourself out there. You have to try new things, and I'll be the first one to volunteer to be Squatch bait. I don't have a problem with that at all. I like that. And it's just, I think that's a very good avenue for us to continue down is, trying new things, putting the women out in the forefront. What is that quote that says, if you continue to do what you've always done, you will always get what you have always gotten. And that's the definition of insanity.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And, it's like, obviously what we've been doing the past 50 years hasn't got us anywhere. So it's like, it's time to do things differently. And, I think that's one of the things that's kind of like our expeditions. We do them a little bit differently. Yeah, we go out, we do night ops, but we do daytime stuff and we teach. Because I think that is one of the biggest problems right now with the Bigfoot community is for so long, it's been about hoarding your information, your research, anything like that. They're not sharing it until I don't even know when they would deem that they needed to share it. But it's like, we need to share that kind of stuff because you never know when there's somebody that's researching on their own that's finding the same thing as you. And if you start sharing it, then you've got somebody else you can go, okay, this person over here is getting it. And this person, I have a friend that I go out with, and he had been finding holes with sticks in them. And he wasn't telling anybody because at first he was always alone when he found them. He wasn't even telling his research buddy when he was finding these because he was always by himself. And he's like, I need a witness when I find these. So finally, one time the research buddy was with him and he's like, okay, I've been finding these, but I didn't tell you this because, I need my proof. And then him and I and Robert were out one day and we found one. We were all together. So he had more witnesses. And so now I've started to find those. And every time I find them, I take a picture. I send it to him if he's not with us. And I tell him where it's at, because he's now starting to get all the, and there's other people that have reached out and said, I find these holes with sticks in them too. So it's like, if you're sharing that kind of stuff and not keeping it a secret, you're actually forwarding this progress. Just like when we do the expeditions, we're teaching stuff. We teach people how to cast, that's something we were never taught. We bring in, I've got he's retired from the police department, teaches forensic class on how to collect evidence. I've got a tracker that shows people what they should be looking for. We're not just taking them out there hoping we're going to have an experience. We're equipping them so that they can go out and do this on their own if they want to.
You said something I think is really important. You mentioned about sneaking around in the woods. And I think that's kind of a male thing to do. If you're out in the woods, we're used to hunting, searching, looking, and you are not going to outsmart really any animal in their element. It's just not going to happen, especially Bigfoot. They're so smart. But you're not going to outsmart, any hunter will tell you most of the times when you get something is because they made a mistake. You didn't outsmart them. They made a mistake.
Exactly.
So I think I think that's one of the really valuable things that women seem to have brought to the community is just the idea of just hanging out in the woods, being yourself.
Exactly.
Every show you see, every Bigfoot hunting show, it shows a lot of them are guys acting like they're hunting, and it's not going to work. They're smarter than that.
Yeah. What is your favorite procedure, Maryann, when you go out? Just go out and have a good time, or do you actually go out and post and stand around?
It's, you know what? It really depends on where we're at and what we're doing. We try to, so like when we're doing the BFRO expeditions, I try to really stick to a formula, because, I've got people out there that have never been. So we'll take them out, and some of my guys, they love to walk. They'll just walk all night if you'll let them. Some of them like to just go sit and listen. We do not go out and do a lot of whooping and calling and that kind of stuff, because you know what? We don't know what that means. So, they may do and we call it tree knocking. I'm really beginning to believe that it is a mouth pop of some kind. We may do a little bit of that, but for the most part, we put ourselves out there as bait, make ourselves interesting, and hopefully they're going to come check us out. And, we always try to leave somebody at base camp, because 9 times out of 10, they're already checking base camp out. So that's kind of, what.
Do most people now kind of think wood knocking is done with the mouth or with their body versus a stick? Do you think most people you've talked to?
I think that's starting to become the trend. Yes.
Okay.
Because it doesn't make sense. So what? They're carrying around a stick all the time.
Exactly. When was the last time you heard a report of a Bigfoot walking around with a club?
Exactly.
Has there ever been a report of that ever?
Not to my knowledge, but
I heard one. I heard one time, but it didn't even really strike me as credible.
Right.
Yeah, it makes more sense that sound is organic with their bodies. It just makes more sense.
It does. I think that's what it is. And you have to think. I mean, these they're so large. What kind of lung capacity do they have? And maybe do they, is there something, are their vocal cords set up differently to where they can make that massive sound with their mouth?
Yeah, it's a big creature. It's going to have massive vocal cords. Who knows what they can do with it?
Yeah. Or Meldrum talks about a possible air sac.
Yes, I've heard that.
They may possess. Yeah. And that's really interesting. The other thing is,
aren't there monkeys that have that? I believe there's monkeys that have that.
Yeah.
Kind of,
oh, sure. Of course.
Yeah.
There's a number of monkeys. What's that one that really howls? It starts with an S. The name is Samarin monkeys. Have this huge booming. They have this big sac in their neck. That blows up. I mean, there's so many weird primates that have weird things. But the other thing is they may use their big hands and their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe something to do with their body and their hands. So it could be a combo. One of the questions I wanted to ask you, have you ever heard a thunder knock or a power knock or something really that's a little bit extra?
Yeah, because, most of the time when we get a knock, it's like it's far away. And there has been a time or two when you get one that's so loud, it's like it was 100 yards from you type of deal. And that's only happened a time or two. Most of the time when you get a knock, it's usually, like I said, from a distance, nothing too close. But yeah, we've had all kinds of odd experiences out there too,
Well, do you want to share some weird ones?
Sure.
Might be a lot, like the holes in the sticks. I don't know if you saw Angie goes, oh my God, she got all excited because you mentioned that because she has found the exact same thing.
Yeah. So on a rule of thumb, the holes are not real big, they're like this.
Okay.
And the sticks are like 12 inches.
Okay.
And and you can tell that stick has been used to dig that hole because there's dirt on the end of it, right? Now, and that's, like I said, my buddy, he's finding them. And after he starts to talk about it, and I'm looking now for the same thing. And I found one along the river, and it wasn't a hole that was up and down. It was a hole in the side, but there was that stick stuck in it that had dirt on it, that something was digging in that hole with that stick. Well, that something has to have a hand. And then we just got back 3 weeks ago from our last expedition, and we were along the lake, and there was, now this hole was larger, and it was probably 12 inches long, but it was also on a steep side of the hill, and the soil there was loose, but it was like, there's no, it was hard for me to climb up there. So nobody's little kids are going to be up there climbing around, digging on the side of this hill.
Yeah.
And the stick was in it. That stick was a little bit larger, but my buddy thinks the young ones make those holes, that they're with their parents or with their mother, whatever. And they are digging from boredom. I mean, doesn't look like they're finding anything really to eat.
Do you think it could be the only thing I know of that would bury itself like that is these yellow spotted, the black salamanders with the yellow spots? They dig a lot, and I used to dig them up when I was a kid like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a possible food source? What else would be down deep? If it's not by a plant, it's got to be they're digging for an animal. It's got to be.
Yeah, or is it just they're bored? They're sitting there waiting because mama's doing something, and they're just digging and entertaining themselves.
But I do wonder about the similarities. Christopher Noel often talks about how they're possibly autistic, and they like to do things, change their environment, organize sticks, do things like that. But I don't know if that hole digging with the fork, are the sticks forked?
No,
you find they're just sticks.
They're just a stick.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're not big. Like I said, they're maybe 12 inches. They're not huge. They might be a little bit bigger.
Is there possible ant pupae or in the area or ant colonies?
No, there hasn't been anything like that, because that was something, that was the first thing when he started to find them, was like, are they digging for food? But there's not anything.
Yeah.
They're not deep. It's just like these little holes that they're dug out with little sticks.
Could those holes catch toads, as toads hop around? Or
they could.
Well, you know what the best way to do, Maryann? Start digging holes and test them. See what happens.
Go dig holes and sit out there and watch.
I'll just wait and check them in a day or two. Maybe they're full of toads, or maybe, who knows? I don't know. What's your thoughts, Jeff?
I don't know.
Wouldn't want to step in one.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, most of them are not big enough that they would you couldn't get your foot in them.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, they're like I said, they're only about this big around.
Oh, I could. I'd twist my ankle big time. I know I would. I'd be twisted.
So that's why we're thinking it's not necessarily food. It's just boredom. They're just digging to be doing something. But
they're playing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
primates play.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's it. We found that kind of stuff. In one of the private property that we go to, they will either throw things or bang on the old farm equipment, because we've been out there before where you hear this tink, 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 and there's not any trees above the farm equipment. So it's not like acorns or anything like that. You would have to bring a stick or something in to hit on it. And we have camped there the last couple of years. We go camp there for the conference. And that's something that we have caught both years. In the middle of the night, you'll hear that. And there's not like loose chains on the equipment or anything like that. It's just big old pieces of old equipment, and you will hear the metal sound at night.
You're talking about like little rocks?
Rocks, sticks, it's something small that they're either throwing or hitting it.
Well, we had that happen up in Snell the last time. They were throwing small rocks at our cameras, not to damage them, but just to go, hey, idiot, we know where all those cameras are. They go around and throw a rock at each one. And it's like, oh, gosh.
Yeah.
That must have been what they're doing. Okay, so Travis had mentioned there were a number of responses in chat. Have you ever heard drumming in the woods? And I know what he's meaning. He's not talking about like grouse drumming, quick drumming. He's talking about a very slow, rhythmic, very, very slow, almost heartbeat pace type drumming, like a boom, 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 boom type drumming.
Well, that's interesting that you preface it that way, because back the 1st of September, we were on private property in northern Missouri, and we had audio recorders out. And one of the gentlemen, he was telling me, he said, you need to check your recorder at about this time. He goes, I had 6 knocks in a row. And so I listened, and I finally found it. And they sound like they are perfectly spaced out. They're not rapid fire or anything like that.
Right.
It's like knock, and you could go 1, 2, 3, knock, 1, 2, 3, knock, 1, 2, 3, knock. And it does it 6 times. I've never heard 6 of them in a row. Usually it's 1 or 2 and you're done. This was 6 in a row.
Was it, what do you think? Well, I mean, can you describe the sound? Was it like a softer drumming, or was it on a hollow tree? Did it sound like a regular snare drum or a bass drum kind of drumming?
No, it was just that, quintessential knock. And it did it 6 times in a row, evenly spaced out.
So a wood knock.
Yeah. That's the closest thing to drumming that I could, come up with. But no, as far as drumming itself, I've never heard anything like that.
So Brendan brings up, I think I threw the comment up there. Brendan brings up that he heard a barely audible, irregular beat in northern Minnesota. And that's where I first heard it, from my son's recordings that he made up in the Boundary Waters canoe area. Comes back, and I'm listening to his tapes, and I mean, it's just crazy. The rocks getting thrown at the tent and ricocheting off other big rocks near the lake, because they were camped near a lake. And I said, dude, do you hear this drumming in the background? This like, kind of boom, 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 boom. And just kind of went on. He goes, oh, I'm glad you said something about that. And I'm like, to this day, I don't know what it is. I don't know what Brendan's, if that's kind of what he heard too. But it sounded kind of like a heartbeat almost, but louder than a heartbeat. You could tell it was off in the distance. I don't know. It's just weird. But these are things I like to mention, because someone else like Brendan might go, oh, I've heard that. That stuff helps everybody.
Yeah.
Connect the dots.
Well, and
by the way,
oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No. Oh, I was just going to say, by the way, Brendan is the person who played Legend Meets Science for me for the first time. So,
oh, really?
So I owe it to him. He brought the DVD over not long after it came out, and he's
is that your friend Brendan?
One of my best friends. He lives out in Yuma, Arizona.
His last name starts with a B.
Yep. And
because I have
Brennan Berthold.
I got a buddy too that's got
us.
a Brendan with a B.
Yep.
So,
yep. You met him. You met him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah, wonderful.
But
guy.
he's the guy that got me into it. So I'm sorry, Maryann. Please continue what you were saying.
No. I was just wondering. When we get back to talking about the irregular beats, it's like, could that actually be? And I know most of the time people talk about, Bigfoot moves through the woods so quietly, but then you will hear people talk about how the noise they can make. Could that actually then be stomping around? I mean, it's like, what if they don't really realize the recorder is out there and they're out there stomping around just doing what they normally do? They're not in stealth mode. They're just moving like they normally move, and we're picking it up as drumming, and maybe it's footsteps.
I've never tried it, but I've heard drumming, you can bring up night crawlers, quite a lot of them.
I've heard that too, yeah.
And I always wondered this. You got to think about food too, because you think that's the main motivation of all of us.
Right.
If I was living out in the woods, I'd be looking for food 24/7. Right. It would never end. I wouldn't even sleep. I'd be just like looking for snacks all the time.
Food and mating are the big motivators.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, starvation is a huge motivator.
Yeah.
But I just wonder how much free. Okay, that's a question I want to pose to not only you, Maryann, to Jeff, and our audience. How much free time do you think a Bigfoot has? You know what I mean? Free time. Beyond, let's say, 8 hours sleep. How much free time do you think they have when they're not having to hunt and actually, get down to business, do goofing around type stuff, hanging around with the BFRO? How much free time?
Well, I think there's a certain amount of it because, well, I don't know if free time is actually what you would want to call it, because I mean, they are constantly looking for food, but I think when we show up in the woods, they're like, oh wait, it's those hairless monkeys again. Let's go check them out, because first of all, they might be able to get food from us. You never know. And it's like, I think it's incorporated with what they do every day. I think they're constantly looking for food. I think that's just what they do. And maybe the females, quote unquote, have more free time because they've got the young, and at a certain amount of time, they have to take care of them. So who knows? I mean, they may just pick them up and take them everywhere they go too. That's just, we don't know. We just don't know what, but they obviously like to come check us out, and
very curious.
They are very curious. So,
the curiosity could stem from safety though, too. That they're coming to check you out to make sure you're not dangerous, you don't have firearms, or who knows? I mean, it's probably, I would think, if I'm living in the woods and there's said camp over here, I'm probably going to want to sneak up on that camp and check out what the hell they're doing. How many men are there? How many people? What's the potential danger here, right? And you're going to assess their behavior. And you're going to go, okay, that's they're good people. Or no, I get bad vibes, man. These are some troublemakers. You don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've often wondered, how much free time do they have to mess around? Just play. How much free time for play?
I'm sure it's seasonal too. I mean, sometimes the living's easy, sometimes it's not.
Yeah,
so depends if they're migrating. I'm sure they're foraging constantly. If they're camping out in a place with good food supply, I think it's going to be seasonal and just depending on where they're at in their cycle. Either way, they have to have an enormous calorie need. I mean, it's a big animal.
Jeff, do not, nor you, Maryann, do not pluck squirrels from their winter nests. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
I'll refrain from squirrel plucking.
Yeah, no squirrel plucking. No, none for you either, Todd. But yes, he's got a good point there. There's a lot of hibernating animals, including rodents, that are in a stupor, including bears. I mean, I was wondering if they're preying on bears because, man, yeah, a black bear in its den in the winter, they're pretty well paralyzed until they can pump blood back into their extremities. But for a good 5 minutes, they're pretty worthless. They can't do much.
Oh,
So,
have you ever seen a black bear in the winter come out of its den for any
hell
reason?
yeah, I had
they're
one.
They're almost like they're drunk. They're
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're a little
incapacitated.
wobbly, and it's because they don't have any blood in their extremities. But yeah, they will come out, and they will then eventually go back in. But if you disturb them, I know wolves will hunt bears in the winter because they know they can't really defend themselves. So if a pack of wolves can get a kill on a bear while they're in their den, they will do it. So yeah, God knows. I would imagine the Bigfoots eat meat in the winter. Do you have snow where you are, Maryann, in the winter?
Not a lot.
Not much, yeah.
Yeah, that usually for us doesn't happen till January.
Yeah, but the plant life dies off. The berries die off. Everything becomes cellulose. There's not much calories in the stuff until spring again.
Right.
So I would imagine your Bigfoots have to turn to meat also.
I would say that's probably their source in the winter.
Yeah.
Because like I said, the deer are thick here. And so they wouldn't have a problem at all living off the deer in the wintertime here because they are there's an abundance of them.
It's really interesting. Getting a lot of great comments tonight. I do wonder how much they do take advantage of roadkill, Jeff. Because think about, you've ever driven to 94?
Oh, God.
There's dead deer, like, I swear to God, sometimes 20 feet from the semis.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I grew up in northern Minnesota. There's times of the year where there's just, they're constant. They're everywhere. Tons of them.
I mean, in the winter,
who knows?
Yeah, in the wintertime, you would think a Bigfoot could survive just on roadkill.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I do.
Well, it's nature's food preserver too. I mean, it's not going to spoil.
Cars and trucks are the new predator.
Yep,
that's true.
Well, and we've had reports of them dumpster diving. There's a cheese store that's outside of town a ways. It's on a touristy area. And they have been reported to be in the dumpster in the morning. There was a lady she no longer works there, but she had gone out one morning to throw the trash out. And as she's approaching the dumpster, she hears something. And, you're probably thinking, oh, that's a coon or, whatever. And no, it was not a coon. This thing jumped up. Well, it stood up, saw her, scared her to death, and it bailed out and took off running into the woods. But it was a cheese store. They threw stuff out, so I'm sure they take advantage of that dumpster all the time.
Jeez.
Yeah, I think it's a common comparison is black bears. I mean, if black bears are doing it, Sasquatch is probably doing it. Black bears know to follow people. They know when there's people camping, there's food there. They know dumpsters are full of food. Black bears can figure that out. And I'm sure they have a similar diet too. They have a considerable range overlap of where they live. So if you kind of watch what black bears are doing.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the casino footage from the reservation there?
Yes.
Everybody, it's like a legend. Everybody wants to see it. And I was kind of involved in that because me and Matt were doing Mysterious Encounters, and that story came to Matt through the BFRO. And I remember talking to or listening on speakerphone, the investigator, a private investigator that I don't know if Matt sent this private investigator over. I don't remember all the details, but I remember hearing the private investigator tell me and Matt, I think this is correct, that he had watched the footage They showed it to him in private, and he said he knew it was real when he saw this thing duck under a big, tall light that he had went out and measured or something that was like 20 feet up or 10 feet up or 12 feet, and the thing ducked under it. And I don't know. What have you heard about this casino footage?
What I have heard is, that it is authentic. They don't want to show it because they don't want people out there, causing problems, running all over the place, that kind of stuff. And it's, if I understand correctly, they saw it more than once. It wasn't just a one-time thing. I think that was kind of a common occurrence on that. Which, I mean, that makes sense. It's like if it found food there once, why wouldn't it go back?
Yeah, I heard there was like grease and things in there and meat and all sorts of goodies. What are your thoughts on gifting, Charles S.?
Gifting, I would not gift them food.
Okay.
I don't think that's a good idea. But we have a couple of investigators that will, they go like to the dollar store and buy shiny things and leave out there for them, or shiny rocks or marbles, that kind of stuff. That I think is fine. I don't think ever gifting food is a good idea.
Okay. And why have you come to that conclusion, Maryann?
Well, it's almost like any, if you just want to go with the whole wild animal thing, you shouldn't ever really leave food out for wild animals. You don't want them to become dependent on you. And then what happens if you don't show up and they become dependent on what you're bringing out there to feed them? It's just not really a good idea. And you hear all these horror stories of things that have gone on, and it's like, it's probably just not a good idea to take food out there. It's like, now the peanut butter, I mean, I've heard some people have had some decent things happen with that, but I just think sticking to shiny rocks and little toys, little knickknacks, things like that, might be a better idea.
Yeah, you don't want to interrupt the natural flow of their diet, and any wild animal. It's a terrible idea to feed wild animals.
Exactly.
Plus, our food is full of additives and weird chemicals. It is. I think about what the hell I was looking at peanut butter the other day, going, "Oh my God!" It's like, don't read that because I don't want to eat it anymore. It's just bad. Like, really, peanuts should have peanuts in it.
That's it.
Maybe a little salt, maybe a little real sugar, and that's it. It doesn't really need all of these things. Ugh. So anyhow, you hate to give Bigfoot a bunch of chemicals.
Right.
I've heard really weird things from some natives that they gift tobacco. And I find that really interesting because so many times they report it to me that it's gone, that it's taken. And I found that was, really odd. But then my son tried it a number of times because he went with a Native American guy and they tried it. And every time it was gone. The tobacco was always gone. I don't think animals would touch tobacco. Do you, Jeff and Maryann?
I don't think so. I don't think tobacco leaves really bugs eat them. I'm not aware of any animals.
Well, this is like chewing tobacco, from a can.
Oh,
I don't think bugs would want any of that crap.
No. Because I know as a kid, I had a pony, and some old timer told us one time to, cut open cigarettes and feed him the tobacco because it was a good wormer. So if it's something that's more, maybe a little more natural, I don't know. Are they taking it because it's a medicinal thing for them?
That's a good point. I have not ever heard that. Good point, Maryann.
Yeah.
Huh.
Absolutely. Get the nicotine out of there. Sure.
Right.
I've heard, in stool studies of their scat, they have no parasites, which is impossible. They're doing.
Yeah, they would have to have a little bit. I mean, I don't see how they could not be out where they're at and not have parasites.
Exactly. And I've talked to veterinarians that have analyzed it, and they say this is weird because it's obviously a wild animals, all sorts of other things in here, wild seeds and so on, but no parasites. And I always think they must be eating something that's cleansing them on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Or they could be eating something that's toxic to us. Who knows?
Right. And every animal, you can tell what animal it is by the parasites they have. That's really interesting. Bigfoots, no parasites. Like, damn it. Damn it.
We can learn from them.
Yeah. And I never heard that tobacco could be get rid of, parasites. That's interesting. Don't eat tobacco, people, please.
Yeah, don't eat tobacco.
Don't do it. Dangerous. No. But, they may know something we don't know.
Exactly.
Sure.
I mean, why would the natives have that story we're not talking like 10 years. We're talking hundreds of years that's passed down that the forest people like tobacco. Where does it come from? And no, we're not leaving a Bud Light, Sly Fox.
Yeah.
No.
It's there has to be some truth to that, because why would they keep repeating it if you didn't? And why would you hear it from, all the different tribes if it wasn't something legit?
Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting. I so often think about those things, and you kind of brush it off. Like my son told me, oh yeah, we use it. That's all we ever gift. And they take it every time. It's like so consistent. And I'm like, well, how do you present it? He goes, a lot of times we just put the can there and the can's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, well, that's not cool, but it is kind of weird. I don't know.
Did they ever get the cans back?
No, they're just gone.
Just gone. Okay.
Yeah, like why?
That's interesting.
It's just interesting,
Yeah.
I'll have to. I keep trying to get Blaine on, but he's like, nope. He just doesn't want to come on.
Understand.
He's just very private that way. But he doesn't mind if I tell the stories. I don't think, anyhow. I'm hoping not. But they've done a lot of that. I'm just looking for any questions. Yeah, why don't you guys come up with some really good questions and I'll post them up here. Do you think that this mystery is going to get solved in your lifetime, Maryann, my lifetime? Or do you think we're a ways away from that, that there's some secret that they hold, or there's not enough researchers, with enough money to solve this problem?
Well, I would like to think it would. I really would, but I'm not holding my breath. And I think partly too is the term researcher can be so loosely used. Anybody that goes out to the woods is quote unquote a researcher, and yes and no. But I think partly too, there's not enough researchers on one hand,
right?
But we need to teach them how to research correctly. How to collect the specimens of scat or hair or whatever it is, how to make the casts. It's about the ones of us that know how to do it. We've got to teach the rest of them so that if it isn't solved in our lifetime, they've got a good basis to go off of for the next one. I think that's been kind of part of the problem in the past is, and I go back to about hoarding all the information and not sharing the data and that kind of stuff. And it's like, so we're, kind of moving from old school of thought on that into, everybody is starting to share and do those kind of things. And that way that information's constantly out there. It's not like it's lost every couple of generations and we have to start again, re-educating and teaching and doing those kind of things. And I just think it's all about, we have to constantly try something different because what we've been doing has not been working.
Yeah.
And, thinking outside of the box and doing things differently,
Yeah.
I think those are key.
I think a big part of it too is most people aren't very good at observing. You tend to be looking for something. If you go out in the woods, you're looking for something very specific, and that's what you're going to tend to see. I'm certain that all of us have walked past clear signs of all kinds of strangeness and just didn't notice it. My favorite example is white-tailed deer. I have literally almost stepped on baby white-tailed deer. You're not looking for them, and they're so good at hiding. You can literally darn near step on them before you are aware that they're there. And who's looking at the ground for giant footprints? Who's looking for, other than Bigfoot researchers, obviously, but who's looking for hair samples? You might see a hair sample and not think anything of it, and it could have been a Bigfoot hair. Who knows?
Exactly.
Or a scat sample. Most people, that's one of the cool things that my dad taught me as a kid, being in the woods, is how to identify the animals in the area by you can tell a lot by the scat. You can see what's there, what they're eating. Most people would look at that and just think it's just poop. No idea what it is, but there's a lot to learn there, and people just aren't observing that.
And that's very true because, most people, they're so busy looking at their phone that they don't don't pay attention to other stuff. It's like when you go to the woods, it's that time to decompress and be present in where you're at and what you're doing, and some people, we just go to the woods to camp. Well, they could have all kinds of things going on around their camp and they don't realize what it is.
Absolutely.
Or they're not paying attention to it, the things like that. And that's part of it too. I think a lot of times, like I had said earlier, I think people have things that happen, but they explain it away, or they've got to put it in a box that their brain can deal with, whether it's
absolutely,
whatever it is, if they're hearing the knocks or they're seeing things, their brain gives them a rational explanation for that, and they leave it alone because they can't deal with it if it doesn't fit into their box.
Absolutely agree.
Flat Rockland asked, have you ever experienced orbs or seen any of these light phenomena in the woods?
Absolutely.
Oh, you have? Okay, yes. Good night, everybody. Nice. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. Okay, good night.
Absolutely. Did it happen while we were Bigfooting? Yes. Does it mean it was Bigfoot?
Connected?
No, it does not. We could have been sitting out the woods drinking, and still it would have happened. And it's happened a couple of different times, different places. One time it happened in Kentucky. Yes, we so happened to be past a small family cemetery. But this one was basically the size of a headlamp. And it came down the trail, and we thought there was somebody coming to get us. There was a group of us. We thought, oh no, has something happened, or, and so we're waiting for this person to get to us, and multiple people saw it. And there was a little like dip, and then it would come up the other side to where we were at. Well, when it hit the dip, we never saw it again. It disappeared. And like I said, there were multiple of us that saw it because we all thought it was a headlamp.
So it was just white light.
It was just a white round light, coming through the woods at us, and it was bobbing like it was somebody's head. Because I've heard people talk about them that they just float. No, this one was bobbing like it was on somebody's head.
Wow.
So, that was interesting.
What do you think they are?
Don't know. I don't know.
You think it's biological or mechanical or something else?
I used to have a friend that said they were spirits. I don't know. I've also heard people talk about the tectonic plates when they shift, the energy that it creates.
Caused by compression.
Yeah, the compression, and then there's this energy that's released, okay. Maybe it could be that. I mean, there's so many things it could be. We saw them another time in Missouri, and now they were actually, I think there was 3 of them, and they were at my feet, and they were like the size of quarters. And my husband saw them, and he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him like, yeah, you're seeing what you think you're seeing. And they just kind of milled around at my feet for a couple of minutes, and then they just were gone. So, I mean, we have had light experiences. I think there's so much in the woods that people don't understand.
Yeah, the woods, I think, are a lot more complex than I think anybody understands.
Yes.
I really do. I think there's a lot of life in there that is just bizarre. And I don't necessarily connect to you. We were up at Snow Grove, and everybody saw red orbs. Mm-hmm. Chris saw, I think, white and red. Adam saw 2 red. Joe saw 2 red ones. Some of them were right out the window at the cabin. Of course, I had my back turned. I missed out, but I've been up there. I'm the one that was telling everybody about all the orbs we've seen, that I've seen up there at Snow Grove, very isolated area. Certainly not other people, but they're bright. I've seen them go right above the treetops. I've seen them go through the trees. I've seen them sparking. I've seen blue ones, red ones, white ones. I've seen them swim in a really extreme swimming motion, I've had them come to me. I've had them you name it, up there especially. But I don't know what they are. I just kind of wonder. Yeah. It's a weird phenomenon, but to connect the two would be a stretch. They could be connected. We don't know.
Yeah, that's like I say, yes, we were out Bigfooting when it happened, but, I can't say that they were part of it. It was like, it's just something that happened while we were out in the woods doing that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it's we live in an amazing world, It's, I swear to God, every day I look up before I go to bed, I look up through this picture window at the sky, and I just think to myself every day, what an amazing world we live in. I'm so glad to be alive, to just, hear about these mysteries and wonder. And I mean, there's so much weird crap coming out now too. Right. From the government. And we're gonna have some pretty high-end UFO people on soon. And I just man, that cat's kind of coming out of the bag. And that may help the Bigfoot mystery kind of come up a little bit, It
may eventually, yes.
I think it will, because when you get the genie out of the bottle, you ain't stuffing that thing back in. It's coming out, man, and it's like every day I'm hearing about new whistleblowers. Did you guys hear about the? I think it happened over 17 days. These 12 orbs, they call them unknown drones. I love it, but they're over Langley, and the government's like, well, we don't know what they are. We have no idea what they are. But they're talking about it. And I'm like, that's not really cool to have 12 drones or 12 objects that you don't know what they are over your military base for 12 days in a row. Or 17 days in a row. That's kind of not cool. It's kind of, it makes you think.
Well, you'd have thought they'd have been doing something about it after maybe 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, well, Helton, it's like, no, Helton, you don't want to ever shoot at an orb. You can get in lots of trouble. But if you're at a military base and you're seeing them, you would think they would do that. But they didn't do anything. They just ignored them, I guess.
Which that in itself raises more questions. It's like, why would you ignore them then? It's a military base.
Yeah, they could be foreign.
Yeah.
Could be foreign spies or some kind of weird. Who the heck knows? And who knows if orbs are from the future or from the past, or I don't know. Maybe
the government knows exactly what they are. And
you haven't even seen one yet, have you, Jeff? An orb?
No.
That's so weird to me. So that's a great question. You know, you said the Bigfoots kind of seem to be attracted to you, Maryann.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it that I've seen, I'll bet you it's got to be going on in the hundreds of orbs, close ones, far ones, blue ones, pink ones, sparking ones, white ones. I mean, ones that affect things. I've seen them within 4 feet in the day. I've seen them at night. I've seen swarms of them. And Jeff hasn't seen one. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
And yet you have the same interests I do, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm interested in everything. The world is a big place, and to think that we understand.
But why
it
haven't
all
you seen one?
Who knows?
It doesn't make sense. Okay, I'm going to make sure that you have your first UFO experience with me. And I've had other guys like you decided to say, okay, smart Alec. They'll say, okay, I'm coming over to your house. Like I had this guy named Alan, good friend of mine, pilot, never seen a UFO in his life. I said, well, if you get time, stop out at the house and you'll see a UFO, guaranteed. And he goes, oh, okay. So months later, he takes me up, he stops over. And remember, he's a trained pilot, right? He knows what he's doing. He's got all the apps, to track airplanes and blah, blah, blah. And where he's out there 5 minutes on my deck, and I go, well, here comes one. And he goes, what? He looks, it's coming right over the top of a neighbor's roof, like maybe 4 feet from the peak of the roof, right? And it's coming, it's heading right for us. And he's already on his app, and he's already going, well, it's got to be a plane. I'm like, dude, it's 4 feet above the roof. It's silent. And it came right to us, went over us slow, and he said, okay, I'm leaving. I just saw my first UFO. He wasn't even here 10 minutes, and he left. So, Jeff, we gotta break your whatever you call it, your dead spot. We got to get you in the groove here.
I'm open to anything. I don't pretend to know every answer to everything. Who knows what's out there? I'm open. Yeah. I'm open to it for sure.
I don't want to see orbs. I don't want to see that crap. I want to just pay my bills and just have a normal everyday life when I'm home, right? I don't want crap around my house. Have you ever had anything? Have you ever felt or had anything follow you home, Maryann? Like you come home, there's a stack of rocks on the toilet or something weird like that.
I have not, but I will tell you probably the weirdest thing I've had happen to me. And so I live in a smaller town, but it's like 5 minutes and you can be outside of, you can be out in the woods. It's not far to get out in a rural area, but the part of town we live in, it's older. And so the lots are bigger. There's actually the house behind us, behind it's nothing but woods. And it goes into a nature area. And then behind all of that turns into a subdivision. But there's actually like some farmland too. So it's like, yes, we live in town, but I have my own personal herd of deer that come through my yard. So it's like, it's a little bit of all of it. But I had came home one day from work, come through my house. Now I live in an old house. So I have these huge windows all through my house. And the windows on the back side of the house, because of the grade of the yard and everything, I don't have any curtains on them because you can't see in them. If you stand in my backyard and look, all you see is like the ceiling, right? You can't see into the windows. So, and the reason I tell you this is my bathroom is on the back side of the house. And I had came home, first thing you do, you head to the bathroom, right? So I'm in the bathroom, I'm on the toilet, and I happen to look out one of these big windows. And
did you have to leave it? Did you have to add the toilet part?
Well, it's just, that's how it is.
That was TMI.
Well, I'm not sure, but no, I can't stand up and do that. But I'm just looking out the window. And the only way that I can describe this, and this is the weirdest thing, and I did not talk about it for a long time.
Okay.
And I blurted it out like 3 or 4 months after it had happened, but I'm sitting there and I know you know what I'm talking about when I talk about the Predator movies.
Yeah.
And the shimmering effect.
Somebody asked that about whether you've ever.
I saw it walking through my neighbor's yard.
Oh. Once again, we need to go now.
Yeah.
I was done. Just like, you saw something like that walking through your neighbor's yard.
Yes.
And it was shimmering and kind of distorting.
Yes.
The vegetation or the buildings or whatever the hell you saw it.
Yeah. I just saw it for maybe 30 seconds. You get that. And I was like, what? You know, the next thing I know, I'm sitting in like my living room and my mother she'd come in and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you've been sitting in here staring at the wall for 30 minutes. I said, oh, okay. It was like my brain could not process what that was. Mm. And I didn't tell anybody for, like I said, probably 3 months. And I had a couple of investigators over and my husband and I are having dinner with them. And I blurted it out and they all looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Mm. And I'm like,
What time of year was that when that happened?
It was the beginning of fall.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, summer was just ending and we're starting fall because the leaves hadn't fallen yet. We were in that transitional from summer starting to go into fall. I've never had anything like that happen since, but I started to hear people talking about it then on podcasts because I listen to a lot of podcasts when I'm at work. And they started talking about it. And it was like, I don't want to hear this. Yeah. I don't want to deal with this, because that just doesn't fit in my Bigfoot box. I don't know what that was, but I saw it. I don't know what it was. That's the weirdest thing that I have come across in everything that we've done. And that was in my backyard. Now,
yeah, the weird thing is when I saw that effect in the movie Predator for the first time, there was a strange deja vu. When you watched that, you were like, where the hell did they come up with that crap? But it seemed it made so much sense when you watched the movie, the way they captured the, this invisible creature walking through the jungle. It just made total sense. And I was wondering, like, why did that make sense?
Yeah. Who saw that and who came up with that?
Yeah, exactly. Right? It's like somebody nailed it because I was just watching a video last night that I'm pretty sure is real that had that effect going on too. And I'm like, well, that's really weird. That's not an easy effect to do.
No. And it's like, you're looking at that because it's like, you can see it.
Yeah.
And you can see through it or what looks like you're seeing through it, but you see it moving too. I mean, it's just, there's too many things going on. Your brain just finally goes, bleh, and I'm not doing this.
Well, how long did you get to observe that effect?
About 30 seconds.
Okay. But then you were just stunned.
Yeah. It's like, that's all it took. And I was just,
so you were stunned on the toilet and you stayed there. Why not? It's comfy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there are things in the world that can bend light. It's called, like, if you're into astronomy, it's called gravitational lensing. A big enough gravity source will bend light. So if you see, there's like images from Hubble or whatnot that you can see the distortion of light from gravity. So who knows if it works on a smaller scale too, but it definitely works on a big scale.
Well, and I've been told that our government has that capability. And I said, that doesn't make me feel any better that they have that capability and why would they be walking through my neighbor's yard doing that? Yeah.
I think we'd all be terrified to know what they're capable of.
Well, I would have had my house up for sale immediately. That would have been the limit right there. That's enough of this crap. I'm out of here. done. So done. I'm about so done as it is. Yeah, I just wonder, what a great world that we live in. Do you feel that that could have been a Bigfoot, or do you think it was just some other phenomena?
I don't know.
Was it the shape of a Bigfoot? I guess
it was
it should have
large.
been. It was large.
Yeah, it
Did
was
it have a
large.
humanoid shape to it?
Yeah, because it was upright. It was walking on 2 feet, and it was larger than, like a man. It had size to it. So that's about the only thing I can, as far as Bigfoot, it was probably close to the size, and it was on 2 feet. I mean, I've never had that happen again anywhere. Nothing like that. So, I mean, I don't know. I try to stay out of the alien hole, but that almost makes me, go, was that what that was?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. I know some credible people that have seen that kind of a thing going on in the forest. I've never seen that one, thank God. Jesus. Jeff, we got to just do a double. One night's going to be a triple header. Be a UFO, a Bigfoot, and a predator, invisible predator walking through the forest. We'll get you all in one night.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You'll just stand there, and you'll just be like her. You'll just sit there.
Yeah,
on the
you'll just
toilet
be stunned.
Stunned.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I get how that happens because your brain just shuts down, can't handle it.
Yeah.
So Travis asked, how did it move? What was it moving towards? And I think she already answered, said it was quite large.
Yeah, and it was just moving through the yard, and it was a very fluid motion. It wasn't bobbing or anything like that. Just it was on a mission. It was headed somewhere, and I caught it for a split second out my window, type of deal.
Nice. I bet you don't look out the window too much.
Yeah, I still do it.
I wonder how many people, I do this often. I always peek out the windows at night, like thinking, this might be the night I see something really cool, but I never do.
Oh yeah. Always looking.
I look, but I kind of don't want to see anything. I kind of just want it to be normal, like it is normally. It's just normal, and I just kind of want it to be that way.
Well, that's kind of like when we're camping and we're on an expedition, and it's like, and I got to get up to go to the bathroom. It's like, okay, I need to go to the bathroom. Can nothing please happen while I'm doing this? That's like my biggest fear is to get out of the tent, to go to the bathroom and have something happen when I'm, very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's always, it's like, I guess that's kind of my worst fear, which there's good reason for it, because where we camp on the private property, the first year that we had our camp out that we do with our conference, we had one come through the camp, and we had the tracker. He was able to track it all the way through our camp.
Wow.
And we had one of the ladies, because we kind of had a little storm. And after the storm and everybody had kind of calmed down and gotten their tents, one of the ladies decided she was going to sleep in her car. She was afraid that her sleeping bag was wet, type deal. So she slept in her car. And about 3:30 in the morning, she started hearing a noise, and she kind of opens her eyes up. Now, this was a lady that normally was a paranormal investigator. So she's not, wasn't that big into Bigfoot. And she said she opened her eyes, and she's kind of looking because she can see movement. Well, behind mine and my husband's tent, the thing was standing there, and she could see the head and shoulders over the top of the tent. So it made it 7.5 feet tall. And it was just standing there. Well, my husband was awake and could hear it moving around behind the tent. I was out of it. I was tired. I'd put on a conference and a camp out. I was out. I missed the whole thing. But the thing was all around our camp. Multiple people heard it. The next morning when we got up, I got my buddy Shane, the tracker, out, and we're showing him what we've got going on. And so he starts looking, and he was able to follow this thing completely around the perimeter of the camp, or the camping area we had. So we'd had one come in on us. And this poor lady woke up and saw it right there, scared her to death. She covered her head up and went back to sleep.
Yeah, people don't want to see what they don't want to see sometimes.
Exactly. Have you had many scares where you've been in your tent other than that? Like rocks thrown at the tent or something sneaking around, unzipping anything, or opening coolers or any of that kind of crap?
No, we haven't had anything that's been real scary for us. Probably the scariest thing that we had happen was we were actually in our camper, and we were in a campground one night, and we have a window because we have a vintage camper we take out, and there's a window on one side of it, and where we were parked, the pole light from the campground was shining in. And so I woke up in the middle of the night, and it's like the camper's really dark. And I'm like, did that pole light go out? I'm laying there trying to figure out why it's so dark in the camper at this point. And I'm laying there, and it's like, this isn't right. This isn't how it all looked when I went to bed. And about that time, it moved away and the light came back in. Well, I could have tried to jump out of the camper and everything else, but I'd have made all kinds of noise. And by the time I got out of there, it sure would have been gone. I just laid there, kind of going, all right, well, that was a little disheartening, that was standing right there. So the next morning I made my husband, because he's 6 feet tall, I took him around and I'm like, come over here. And so the window was 7 feet up, and this thing was blocking the window, whatever it was, that the light didn't come in. So that's probably, one of the more closer things that I've been awake for. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that would do it. Okay. So are you doing a conference? Did you do one in 2024, I would imagine? Are you doing one next year?
Yes.
Do you want to plug that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have our event center booked. We are doing it. I believe it's October the 4th. And now I do mine a little bit different. Yes, I have strictly a conference, but I also do a camp out for people who want to go with us for we leave from the conference and we go straight to the camping area, and we're there until Wednesday morning. And what we do out there then is I have a couple of ladies that cook for me. They cook breakfast and dinner for everybody. Wow. We try to accommodate people that want to actually go out and do some investigating, or we have people that just want to stay in the camp and visit and hang out. So we do both things. We try to accommodate for everybody.
That's a great idea. I like that.
Yeah, and the property, this gentleman has had activity ever since he moved onto the property a few years ago. It's ongoing. We actually had a different kind of activity this year than we did last year. We had a lot more vocalizations this year, which was really kind of odd because normally we didn't get that out there.
What type?
We were hearing things that sounded very closely to owls in their mating calls, and it's the wrong time of the year for that. So that was kind of interesting because it's like, well, that's not the right time of the year for them to be doing that. So, and just some noises in general, because I think last year when we were out there, we really didn't have any kind of vocalization. They're pretty quiet out there as far as that kind of stuff. The stuff that was going on this year, we were kind of wondering if maybe we don't have a younger one out there that's kind of, stretching his legs and getting to do some things. We had a couple of thermal hits this year that put it, 5.5, 6 feet tall type thing that was moving around when we were there. As we were walking up the hill one night, we got growled at type thing, and that's in the same amount of time that we had the thermal hits, stuff like that going on. So the property does have some activity, and the gentleman that lives there gets some different kind of activity going on through the year. The year before when we were out there, and they didn't tell us this at the time, but those large flats of eggs that you can get, they had picked a couple of those up at the store. And there's a gentleman that lives there, and then his son and daughter-in-law also live there. And he had picked those up for the son. Son was busy doing something, said, put it on the deck. I'll take it in when I go. Well, the son got busy, and he forgot to take the eggs in. The next morning when he came back, one complete flat of eggs was completely gone. The other one was still there. It wasn't touched. But you have to have hands to carry that. They found no broken eggs, no pieces of eggs anywhere.
Yeah, so, that would be hard for an animal to do.
Exactly. And about a week later, that flat of eggs showed up in the neighbor's yard about 1/4 of a mile down the road with one row of eggs still intact. And they were trying to say that the dog did it.
Crazy.
It's like, well, that's a talented dog.
Yeah, I'd say.
So, yeah.
So what time, when is your next conference? What's the date? And
well, we do the conference, like I said, that's going to be in October the 4th.
Okay.
But I do expeditions with the BFRO. I do them in Missouri. We are going to Oklahoma. There's not been one in Oklahoma in a long time. And we're in the process of working on getting into Arkansas. And those are all will be on the BFRO website.
Okay.
So people can go there and check those out. And we'll probably have 2 in Missouri this year, plus the private one with the conference, and then 1 in Oklahoma and 1 in Arkansas. So.
And how can people get a hold of you, Maryann?
They can get a hold of me at Ozark Mountain Bigfoot Conference on Facebook.
Okay.
They can reach out to me that way. And if they have questions or anything like that, that's where all the information will be about the conference going forward. We just have the date and the venue right now, and we're working on getting all of our people, lined up for speakers next year.
Very cool. Very, very cool. You've been a wonderful guest. I appreciate you putting up with so much crap from us.
Thank you. Thank you, Maryann.
You make me feel at home.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I'm looking forward to doing this again next week.
Thank you.
Yes, somebody had mentioned they missed Alex already, and yes, we all missed Alex, and we'll try to con him into joining us one on occasion now and then. Hell, we could have 20 hosts. We don't care. I mean, the more the merrier. But yeah, we'll make sure Alex gets that particular message, and we love Alex, and we're really glad to have Jeff. Super glad and lucky. Super lucky.
Real quick, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to mention we are going to, I hate to say the word pop your cherry, but that's going to happen.
Well, I just wanted to thank everybody. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Alex, who's still right next to me here helping me. And Maryann, you're kind of special. This is my first show, and you're my very first guest. So you'll always be special for that. Thank you for being a great guest.
Oh, well, thank you.
If I can just sneak in something really personal, there's a special girl out there. My beautiful, sweet, kind, and funny niece, Layla, turned 11 today. So I just want to say happy birthday to Layla.
Awesome.
Uncle loves you.
That's nice. Anyhow, yes. With that, we will be back the same time next week. Hopefully we won't have any technical problems like we did. Jeff doesn't look pink like Alex did. So I don't know what the hell is going on. You look the right color, Jeff.
Well, I hope so.
But although Alex isn't Italian. So
yeah, I am.
So that could be.
I'm a lot of Italian.
But remember, everybody, your own intuition has been underrated. You've been taught to believe that intuition is just not important, and it's, I think, the most important thing that you can possess. And use it, depend on it, and remember, it's not just intuition is not just make believe. It's real, right? I think you guys believe that. So anyhow, with that, good night. We love you all, and thank you everybody in chat. Good night.
Good night.
I call you up in the middle of the night, been bothered by dreams, ain't feeling alright. You give me comfort, say just give it some time. By the end of our